The college football experience, invitational projections and picks, as well as bowl games part 3 episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. WynnBET's now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. From boosted same-game parlays to live in-game odds, WynnBET is what you need to win. Sign up today. Bet $100. Get a $100 free bet at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET. State restrictions apply. We're also brought to you by our mini helmet contest. Yes, the SGP mini helmets are now in store, and we're giving away one of them for free. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/helmet. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/helmet.
This is Brian Bosworth, a.k.a. The Boz, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, brother. Peace out. Boz out.
Invitational. Yes, we're going to pick our winners for the Invitational, and it's our bowl game part 3 series. I am Joel. Well, actually, wait. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I smoke and I drink and I don't have stress and I'm healthy.
Just getting healthy again. All right, I got my Pirates on the TV right now. They're winning, but I mean, come on. That's what they do. That's what they do. I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito-eating, bank robbing. If you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/college experience, give it up for Patty C in the place to be. How you doing?
Whoa. The YouTube chat already clowning.
They saying, where is Patty C? Who cares about Carmen Sandiego? Where in the world is Patty C?
Oh man,
the Chris Penn comment already coming up.
Would you knock off a
never
Walmart
gonna live that
this
one
morning?
down. What's that?
Did you knock off a liquor store or Walmart this morning?
Hey, I'm making do with what I got. Plus, it's cold here. I don't know if you guys got you're back in California. You had an 80-degree Christmas, Colby. You know what? Christmas was here. -4 wind chill.
Oh, I love it. Football weather, baby. Tell me you're flying Southwest.
No, but I did see what they're dealing with over there. That's miserable.
They're just dealing with a little couple thousand dust ups. We are joined by third man in the booth, the DFS god himself. Come play bowl season DFS CFP Invitational DFS. All right, we tweet it out all the time at TCE on SGPN on Twitter. Give it up for the rooftop IPA drinking, homebrew making, tobacco road living, the free lock giving, farmer, Herndon Basketball League MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
There we go. What's going on, guys?
Oh, man. I mean,
one more week of college football.
I mean, we got a lot to talk about. The offseason's spicing up some. But, I mean, what's your take on all these bowl games so far, NC Nick?
You know, in general, I thought that the holiday weekend was pretty lacking of good sports. And I thought there should have been more bowl games. The couple bowl games that you know, we had one Christmas Eve, one Monday afternoon. In general, I thought for a holiday weekend, sports was lacking big time this past weekend. You know, a limited number of college football games, college basketball. What happened there? I mean, you just had a handful on Christmas Day, that tournament in Hawaii. You had no games on Christmas Eve, none on the day after Christmas. And then the NFL, where their primetime games were just awful. Like, I don't know if it was either like the Jaguars Jets last Thursday night, the Raiders Steelers Saturday night, which was, you couldn't watch it. The Bucks Cardinals. Oh, geez. I mean, in general, the bowl games, there's been some entertaining ones. There's been some snooze fests. Pretty much what we expected.
Yeah. A couple snooze fests.
Well, post-Christmas is when the meat of the bowl season is, obviously. But yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah, there's not that much good like stuff to look forward to. Even the Orange Bowl. Are you excited about that? I guess we'll get to this, but it hasn't been that exciting yet. You're right.
Take the game that kicks in about an hour and a half. Wisconsin, Oklahoma State. On paper sounds good, but it sucks because everybody's not playing. The coaches aren't there. So that's I don't think the games are necessarily going to get any better unless you're talking invitational, because those two games I'm definitely excited for.
Yeah, and it's why you have to have a large playoff, but you've heard me talk about that a million fucking times. Do we want to touch base? I guess we should recap on some of these ones. Wake Forest beats Missouri. Eli Drinkwitz yet to have a winning season in 3 tries at Missouri, but yet extended. What are your thoughts, NC Nick, about Eli Drinkwitz and the Missouri Tigers?
Dude, we did the Missouri preview back in the summer, and we said it was a big year for him because, number one, he is recruiting very well. He's bringing in more talent to Columbia than probably ever before, but that hasn't resulted, into wins or enough wins to feel secure in his job. So that, this was year 3. Year 3 is now wrapped up. Year 4, he seems to be on somewhat firm ground, but another 6-6 type season. And dude, this is SEC play. If you're not winning, they're going to get rid of you quickly. So I was kind of surprised he was extended that quickly, but yeah. Hey, so far SEC, we're very early in. SEC is 0-2 in bowl games. ACC is 2-0. So clearly the ACC is a better conference in football.
Something like that.
Sure. GBO Farms. What do you think about that one? I guess we should touch base. I mean, Houston wins. They pushed. I thought if they could have made an extra point, they would have covered. Air Force. How about that? Troy Calhoun wraps up his 3rd 10-win season out of 4 years, and the only reason why perhaps they didn't get a 4th one is COVID season. They rolled the Baylor Bears, man. Should we give him a little bit of time to talk about the Falcons? Troy Calhoun, is he the most underrated coach in America, Patty C?
I mean, I don't know what else you need to do at this point to get an interview for a big job. He should be on any program's radar period. Obviously, Colorado was able to get primetime, but if you're turning down a dude who has 3 10-win seasons in his last 3 full seasons, then you're an idiot program. Fortunately, they were able to get primetime, but any other program basically in the country should be taking a look.
Yeah, Nick, what do you make of Air Force's 3 10-win seasons in 4 years?
Spectacular, man. And I hope Calhoun doesn't go anywhere, because he does seem like a perfect fit at Air Force. He's been there forever. Is he deserving of a bigger job? Sure. This game here, I think it was very heavy winds, which favored Air Force, but it doesn't matter. They basically dominated that game, and he's doing an outstanding job. Give him some credit.
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit surprised Western Kentucky whooped South Alabama, but a bunch of guys that we thought were in the portal that were opting out played. Tough to forecast that.
That's 2 years in a row that's happened for Western Kentucky. So talk about, a buy-in, for the head coach there is doing a fantastic job as well. 2 years in a row. I mean, bringing the Hilltoppers to, being somewhat of a household name in the group of 5.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the Helton secret is salesman, keeping the guys around.
There you go.
Keeping them out of the portal.
I thought this was hilarious. San Diego State held Middle Tennessee State to negative 66 yards rushing, and they lost.
That's got to be a first.
Negative 66 yards rushing, and they lose the game. Chase Cunningham threw for 236. I don't even understand it. Like, I mean, if you threw for 236 minus 66, what's that? I mean, 170, something like that, right? How did you win a game? How do you win a game with 170 yards of offense? But they did 25-23 in Hawaii against San Diego State. Brady Hoke, man, I understand he had another winning year, 7-6, but they should pull the plug on him. Call me crazy. I know they just went to the Mountain West Championship 2 years ago, and maybe I'm being unrealistic, but they just got a stadium. They're trying to get in the Pac-12. This is not a good look.
Yeah. If you can lose a game, despite how I'm looking at it right now, a yardage advantage of 170 to 364 for San Diego State. How is it possible to lose that game? And I guess no, it was pretty close into the fourth quarter. That one was an entertaining game. You know, give it credit despite.
And on the flip side, what about our guy Stockstill? You know, the haters in Murfreesboro, they wanted him out.
Yeah.
And if we can borrow a line from Days of Thunder, there's nothing stock about the stock car. Well, there's nothing stock about Rick Stockstill. You can't find head coaches like that, on the shelves at your Walmart.
I still can't believe between that and Seth Luttrell, and North Texas actually pulled the plug on Seth Luttrell. He should be hired somewhere else. But also Stockstill 8-5. They win at Miami. They beat San Diego State. These are teams that are way better on the recruiting trail than them. I don't understand what more you want out of your program to, I understand they got whooped by JMU. Okay, maybe that one. That's one blemish, all right?
Well, that's going to happen. That's what happens to pretty much everyone, so don't worry about it.
All right, well, we'll touch base on another, I guess today you had Buffalo. How about Buffalo taking down Georgia Southern? We're going to talk more about Georgia Southern and Buffalo in a minute here, but Memphis absolutely waxed Utah State. Man, I was on the wrong side of that one. What did you guys catch any of these ones?
I believe I was on the wrong side of that one too. I think I don't know. I'm drawing a blank. That was a good week ago.
I think you were on Memphis, Patty. I think Colby and I were on Utah State. Now, I don't know if it made a difference or not, but Utah State was on their third string quarterback, Cooper Legas. Well, he got injured in the game and did not return. So they were on their fourth string, a fellow named Bishop Davenport, who actually looked pretty solid, but that was kind of in garbage time, against a prevent or a soft defense. So, Utah State's been a weird team all season, so it figures they don't show up for the bowl game.
Yep. All right. Well, look, I want to get to some off-season news.
Don't try and skate by the last one. New Mexico State.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a second because I'm going to talk about some coaches that have been. We're going to recap year one, but I wouldn't look. I can credit that. I called for a bowl game. I think you were laughing at me. I said they could go to a bowl game. I actually called for
no.
Yeah.
Overall, you get credit for your call. You just pulled out at the last second. A typical Coleman move there. But,
first time there.
You had been on board, all season long. So I got to give you credit. It was your sales job that made me go with New Mexico State.
Oh yeah, our lock battle, right? We had a battle there. Well, what's his name got knocked out? The quarterback of Bowling Green. But yeah, shout out to Jerry Kill. That's what he does. We're going to talk more about that in a second. Want to talk Sam Hartman hit the portal today, guys, after winning at Wake, and there's rumors that he is going to Notre Dame. What do you think that would do for Notre Dame if they land Hartman? Because I still think they lack explosive players. Like, you could put all the quarterbacks you want back there. You got to get Michael Myers gone. Your receivers have. When's the last time Notre Dame's? I guess Claypool, but they haven't had a lot of great wide receivers in a long time. I feel like. I know. Yeah, but still, never like the Holtz era. I feel like the Holtz era had guys.
No straight game, but who they had? Like Golden Tate, that was a while back, but obviously he turned into a decent one.
They had Samardzija, who ended up playing baseball instead of the NFL, but he was good.
Yeah, you're right.
They've had some recent ones too that I'm drawing a blank on, but no like all pros.
So what do you think? I mean, obviously Hartman's better than Drew Pine, who's now at Arizona State, but I still think if you don't have the skill positions and you're losing Michael Meyer, who was like 90% of your passing offense, I feel like.
Well, dude, the portal's not done with. I mean, who's saying if they get a great passing quarterback like Hartman, that could be attractive for a lot of receivers in the portal.
True. I'm just saying they better do that. Notre Dame's been a little more reluctant than other programs, and some of that is academics on bringing in people from the portal. So, I'm
kind of bummed about this though, because Hartman just belongs at Wake Forest. First off, he's already been there for about 6 years. You know, I'm not knocking him. Maybe you got an opportunity to play for Notre Dame. Yeah, maybe you take
the man his shot on the big stage.
Bag of cash. Clausen talked about it.
Yeah,
Clausen was like pretty much saying, if my guys can get money, then go get money.
And look, I mean, Hartman's not necessarily like a top pro prospect because he is kind of undersized and he's old. You know, NFL likes to draft him of like 3 years ago. So maybe this is his chance to make the most money he'll ever be able to make in his life. So you can't blame him, but I kind of wish he would have finished his career at Wake.
Step up that money, man. Why don't you donate to the NIL, man, at Wake? Come on.
That's right, man.
Let me ask you this real quick. Does that change, them hosting Ohio State next year? Does that put them in that game as a contender week 1?
Not right now. No, it's week 3, I believe, or 4.
Week 3 next year. I'm looking at this year. Yeah, week 4 next year. Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, if they got to get better skill position guys, they don't have. If they get some like Nick says in the portal, what am I hearing right now? Feels like a fucking aircraft is laying.
I hear something too.
I don't have the microphone here. I didn't bring it across the country, so I think you're hearing the air conditioning in the house.
Okay. Well,
it's not -1 degree now if you have the AC on.
oh yeah. I could probably take this off, but you guys don't want to see the fro that's going to come out of this. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they got to get better skill position guys though for them to really contend against Ohio State or something. But
I'd be curious to see how they use him too. I mean, he's always been in the same system at Wake and going to Notre Dame. Obviously, the system's going to be different. Yeah, there could be a lack of weapons. So I'm very intrigued. But yeah, to Pat Kappa's point in the chat, if you're a Notre Dame fan, I think you should be excited for sure.
Oh, of course. But this is going to be interesting to watch because I know Phil Jurkovic was outspoken about Notre Dame's offense is not quarterback friendly. He called out Tommy Reese and what's Brian Kelly for saying like they don't let you be a good quarterback there. Essentially, like you stay in a very basic system, and that'll be interesting to watch with Hartman there if he does go to Notre Dame. But this is still rumor. This is not official.
Speaking of
definitely apparent whenever they play a big game that they don't have an extra gear offensively.
And speaking of the lack of Notre Dame receivers in the pros, when's the last time they turned out a good quarterback? Am I forgetting someone? Is there somebody obvious that I'm forgetting? I don't think so.
Heisman or Montana, right?
Even like in the
whose son is on the team right now,
like Rick Meyer. I mean, but we're going back to like the 80s and 90s. Like, has there been anybody in the last?
Alice wasn't good in the NFL.
Brady Quinn, was that the last one who like actually got some snaps?
Who is the guy that went to the Packers? He got a few snaps up there. The big tall guy.
Jarius Jackson got a few snaps with the Broncos. Anyway, portal is batshit crazy as you can imagine. Keaton Slovis says, I had enough of Narduzzi ball. Take me out to Provo so I can super soak with all those Cougars. Keaton Slovis to BYU. Nick, your thoughts?
I mean, for him, it's a great move, I think. So is Jaron Hall done? Has he exhausted his eligibility?
No, but I heard he was going to go pro. But who knows? I don't think it's official yet.
Right. I don't think things in Pitt weren't working out that great for Slovis. First off, I don't know how good Slovis is. I don't think he beats out Jaron Hall if Hall comes back. He's a solid college quarterback. Yeah, so maybe go to an offense where you get to show your skills a bit more. I understand it.
How do you see what he makes? Slovis, BYU is Big 12 play going to be bananas? Slovis ball? They're going to light it up.
I mean, you would think you would light it up. It's interesting to see like what Sitake's offense benefits more from, like a traditional pocket passer or a dual threat, because obviously they weren't quite as explosive this year. But, last year they were good. I think he can work with whatever, but I think Slovis will definitely be a pretty darn quarterback for him to have. And so I expect them to be pretty good offensively with him.
Yeah.
Deshaun Kaiser.
Yeah, Deshaun Kaiser.
Shout out to Pat Kappa pulling that up in the chat.
There
Forgot
you
about him.
Well, JT Daniels, he probably started with Deshaun Kaiser, started playing college football around the same time.
And Sam Hartman.
Yeah.
And Austin Uni.
Yeah. He transferred to Rice. He said, you know what? I had enough of this Pac-12 bullshit. Then he was like, no, I had enough of this SEC bullshit. Then he was like, no, I had enough of this Big 12 bullshit. Give me some CUSA. No, AAC. Rice is playing in the AAC next year.
He's just trying to squeeze a little time in each conference in.
Yeah. JT Daniels to Rice. Nick, your Owls. Could they revive a one-time 5-star?
All I know is they hit the over for me this year, and that's some talent going to a smaller school.
Him and McCaffrey could be a lethal connection.
That's right, and they had quarterback problems this year. But I think there's some injuries, right?
Yeah, a bunch, I feel like.
Yeah, so there's some stability there. Sure, why not? Again, kind of similar to Slovis. I don't know how good JT Daniels is. He seems like an average college quarterback.
Another thing is he gets injured all the time. So if you're already getting injured often, you're bringing in one of the more injury-prone quarterbacks in the history of college football.
Yeah.
Patty C, what do you think? JT Daniels going to revive Rice?
Well, what happened with him at West Virginia? I would be lying if I said I was following their quarterback situation closely enough to see how that all played out there.
After the way the freshman played, they were running option read with him. He was running, and they were having more success. But I blame some of that. West Virginia played 11 Power 5s. They almost beat Pitt in the opener. Like, they should have had Kansas. They had Kansas up. They were up big on Kansas early. Kansas comes back and wins. I mean, they were close to being like a 7-5 team, 8-4 team, but they couldn't get it done. And now he's off. And I'm surprised they retained Neil Brown. But yeah, that's essentially what happened as he goes to Rice. Patty C,
you could argue that he's been on a consistent slide in terms of, I guess, typical offensive potency, going from USC to Georgia to West Virginia all the way down to Rice. It's just like he's slowly finding his level. And maybe
what's crazy is I think he's undefeated as a starter at Georgia. I don't think he ever lost a game as a starter at Georgia, which almost makes you value.
If he didn't get injured, he'd be Heisman ceremony.
Well, I mean, Stetson Bennett's undefeated, I think, or not. Probably 2 years ago he started some games where they probably lost. But
didn't Bennett lose the game to Bama last year? The first one.
True. That's true. Daniels is sitting there saying, "Wrong guy transferred out, man. I'm undefeated." Emory Jones, the former Florida quarterback that went to Arizona State, lands at Cincinnati with Scott Satterfield.
These are all hilarious because these are all like third or fourth transfers now. Like these quarterbacks are just like journeymen, Forget about a journeyman electrician. How about a journeyman college quarterback? Just like a new scenery every year.
Yeah. Emory Jones say, I had enough of these fake breasts out here in Tempe. Let me go get some Skyline chili in Cincy. I mean, he had Malik Cunningham. Does Emory Jones, Satterfield and Jones, is that a good match, Patty C?
Yeah, I mean, I guess in terms of what he's probably used to, you guys would have a better knowledge of his history prior to Cunningham. I mean, he had Cunningham essentially the entire time he was at. No, he was there, what, like 4 or 5 years?
Oh, he had Cunningham the whole time, though. He had Cunningham
the entire time?
Yeah.
And Cunningham was the starter every single year he was there?
I believe so.
Wow.
I think he got injured some, and they brought in a back. But yeah,
I don't think Emory Jones is as good as Cunningham, but I think it's a decent fit there because he does have that dual threat capability.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's get to the next one. Graham Mertz goes to Florida. Billy Napier, first season 6-7. Probably shouldn't even have been in a bowl. Got fortunate against Utah. Got fortunate against South Florida.
Why was Florida even interested?
I am confused. I mean,
you have to question his eye for talent at this point.
I mean, there's a lot of good quarterbacks out there. I don't understand it.
Yeah, why even burn a scholarship on him? I mean, I guess he could be solid somewhere, but not at Florida. I mean, if you're at Florida, you got to have your sights set higher than that. Come on.
Yeah. I was a bit
surprised. The stars still have weight. 5 stars is 5 stars, I guess.
Yeah, sure. How's his shirt company doing? Getting a lot of sales? First NIL player right there.
He had his own logo.
Yeah,
Fucking
yeah.
it's ridiculous.
Is it? Hopefully, it's just a logo of dog shit because that's the way he's fucking played. All right. DJU transfers to Oregon State. 5-star talent going to Jonathan Smith, who played quarterback at Oregon State. Won a Fiesta Bowl there. He also was he was an OC, I believe, with Kellen Moore at Boise State. Then he was at Washington when they had their playoff run. Can he revive DJU's career? Personally, I love this get. I heard many people saying that it's not DJU, it's more so Clemson. I think you don't need to set the world on fire with the Oregon State's rushing attack. I think you just got to be able to complete like 58% of your passes. He's got a little bit of wheels. I think it fits. I think it makes Oregon State a really good team next year. What do you make of that, Nick?
Oh, he's certainly better than what they had this year. And as soon as Oregon State is mentioned, Dryden pops up in the chat. But no, I think it's a good get too. I mean, look, I think we know what DJU's limitations are. He's never going to be the most prolific passer, but there could be something to the offense and the coordinators he's had the last 2 years as well. So I think it is a great fit. And it kind of does show you the drop off though. Cause no offense to Oregon State, but DJU has a huge name. And I don't know if other big programs weren't interested or maybe he just thought this was the best fit for him. So it does seem like a good fit here.
Well, I heard that he was going to go to Hawaii, and I heard it was according to 24/7 Sports, they had that 100% thing to Hawaii, and he ends up at Oregon State. He doesn't have that Dr. Pepper NIL money that he got from year one at Clemson, or year one as a starter, I should say. But I do think it's a good get. Patty C, what do you think of DJU at Oregon State?
Well, to Nick's point, as far as a step up, he had similar, numbers in some regards to Ben Gulbranson. Gulbranson was 62.4% completion percentage. DJU was only 61.9, both in the 7.0 range of yards per attempt and adjusted yards per attempt. But the touchdown to interception ratio is where it's wildly different. Gulbranson at 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions this year. DJU 22 touchdowns, 7 interceptions this year. So if they can get that kind of production out of him, then they're Pac-12 contenders right away.
I mean, they're
Pac-12 also
without him, but
they were this year. You could also argue that Clemson was kind of like Notre Dame the last couple of years, where they didn't have too many weapons on the outside for DJU to take advantage of.
True, very true. I got to get to the next one. Devin Leary to Kentucky. I was shocked at this. It's such a lateral move to me. NC State to Kentucky. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I guess
it's tough to really have much to say about that.
It just seems like, he'll do solid at Kentucky.
The only thing I can think of is that maybe he had to sit down with Dorn, and maybe Dorn said, "Hey, man, we're going through a youth movement. We think MJ Morris is going to be our guy next year." So if we'd love to have you back, but just understand that it might not be your job anymore. That's the only thing I can think of. But there was obviously with what's his name, Levis leaving, there was an opening at Kentucky potentially. So we'll see in a couple of days how their backups fare in the bowl game, because I don't think they looked very good when Levis was hurt this year. So, it's a decent spot for him, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, well, I don't know. I just feel like they said everyone was after Leary. I personally think Leary's overrated by the national media. I think he's a good college quarterback, but seeing 24/7's transfer portal quarterback rankings and having him number one, I think I completely disagree with it. But I think he's solid. But they said that everyone, Auburn was looking at him, a bunch of different schools. I'm probably forgetting most of them, but I just wonder if Kentucky is the most. I get it. Will Levis is projected to be number one, so maybe he's looking at that, thinking that could be me. I don't know.
They're like, hold on, Will Levis is number one? Shit, maybe they can make me number one.
But he's like, I'm better than him. I actually would be like, yeah, he might be. But so we still have a lot of names out there. And that's why I'm surprised at Mertz to Florida. Grayson McCall still out there. Could be Liberty. I guess Oregon State he could scratch off the board. Could be Auburn. Brendan Armstrong still out there. Now, I know that Notre Dame's been speculated. I know also NC State because Robert and I's connection. Hank Bachmeier still out there. Spencer Sanders. Obviously, Sam Hartman is rumored to Notre Dame. He's still out there. I see the chat was mentioning Mike Wright from Vanderbilt. Yes, he's still out there. Luke Altmaier, the guy who almost won the starting job at Ole Miss. All those QBs are out there. It makes you wonder why you would settle with Graham Mertz or some of these other names, perhaps.
And even like getting Mertz, where you're like maybe he'll compete for the job, but that might persuade another quarterback not to go to Florida. Like, oh, you know what? They already got somebody in the portal. I'm no longer interested in Florida. So yeah, if you're the Gators, I think rather than jumping on an average guy that quickly, you kind of wait and play it out and see if you can grab someone better.
Yeah. Okay, so next let's switch over to some coaching news. Brian Newberry is the new head coach at Navy. He's the defensive coordinator. So they fired Niumatalolo, and they fired him like directly after the game, apparently. Really disrespectful the way that, from what I understand, the way it went down, like didn't even like give him a couple days. Like they lost the Army game and, he fumbled at the 2-yard line or 1-yard line, and they lose that game in overtime. And they fired him apparently right after the game ended. Like,
so pack your shit up.
Yeah.
Not quite on the tarmac, but in the locker room.
I've heard speculation that Newberry was kind of against him with the AD. Which I mean, who knows how true that is, but he is the new head coach at Navy. Niumatalolo out. You got to think.
Are you saying there's a little inside job there?
I think it could have been there from what I've heard.
Usually that never works out well for that new coach that gets the gig.
That's true.
If there is some kind of, because that just shows you he really can't be trusted.
Yeah, and Niumatalolo is the winningest coach in Navy history. To do that, kind of a bold move. I wonder, do you think anyone takes a shot on the triple option of Ken Niumatalolo in the next year or two, Patty C?
We would have to scour the country. We've had some foresight. I mean, heck, we called Bobby Petrino to Vegas.
Hey, I called Deion to Colorado, man. Let's go.
There you go. I mean, once the bug gets in your head and you see that it makes sense, there's a chance that it could happen. But we would have to look. I don't even know what teams would be open to the triple option at this point.
Well, you know what they should do. If he doesn't land the head coaching gig, which is challenging because there's not a whole lot of triple option teams out there, Army should hire him as like a special assistant or something, because he'd be dying to stick it to Navy. So I think that'd be perfect, man.
That would be absolutely fantastic. That would be absolutely fantastic.
That would make my interest in watching the game go up too.
Yes.
Yeah. Of course. Anytime you get bad blood going on. Travis Hunter transferred to Colorado. A lot of people, it's funny. He had tweeted out that Florida State had contacted him the night of him announcing he was going to Colorado. So the number one recruit in the transfer portal and the number one recruit in last year's college football season going to Colorado. And now you have the speculation of Cormani McClain, who was supposed to sign with Miami, 5-star, the number 2 recruit, the number 1 cornerback recruit, but number 2 recruit in the nation besides Arch Manning. That Deion Sanders has been in touch with them. Is there's already rumblings that they're going to have the top 2 cornerbacks in the past 2 years as their starting cornerbacks at Colorado. But what do you make of the portal get and the possibility of McClain to the Buffs, Patty C?
Well, not only that, but I don't know if he's any good, but Shiloh Sanders, you got primetime son at safety. That's a loaded secondary right there. If all of those dudes can ball, give that another year or two, and they might be that 90s Colorado defensive backfield, and Colby will be in heaven.
Oh yeah, already there. Just the fact you have money coming in.
Exactly. And to Jimmy O'Farr's point, yeah, Colby's head might be continually disappearing with his background here, but his Colorado Buffaloes boner is only growing.
Oh, so very true.
His head might disappear, but you might see his other one soon.
I'm very curious. What do you guys think on this?
Coming up from the bottom.
What do you
knocking the microphone over?
Right. We got to stop talking about this.
What do you think, though? Do you think we're going to see? Because you basically, I am, regardless of whether Deion Sanders works out or not, from a wins and losses, which I think will based on talent. Maybe he doesn't win, the national championship or the Pac-12 championship or something. But just the fact we got buy-in from everybody at Colorado, I'm, super fucking excited. And I think, going behind the scenes and learning some of these things. And I by the way, I think we're going to have the play-by-play guy on in the next couple of weeks. I've been in contact with him, Mark Johnson. Shout out to Mark Johnson. But everyone went to buy in. They knew it was a pivotal time for football. And I wonder if you see Cal or Stanford or some of these other schools that maybe football is not first, maybe Syracuse, they're at a pivotal point where you got to wonder about their future in college football. And I think that's why Colorado ponied up the money and basically went all in on football again, which they haven't done since the fucking 90s.
Smart. That's the first smart thing they've done in a long time.
Yeah.
It's already paying major dividends.
Do you think?
What's that?
No, I'm saying, do you think there'll be more programs, doing this, essentially?
Well, I mean, we obviously, I don't know. Do we mention that already? Ed Reed?
Well, no, I was going to get to that, but yes, Ed Reed just hired a Bethune-Cookman, but I'm talking about
a little bit different there, I think. Yeah. But yeah, I think there's going to be teams that we don't know. I don't think we probably don't know who it's going to be, whether it be Stanford or Cal or Syracuse, who knows? But I think there will be teams that'll pop up.
Boston College, maybe.
And they'll say, look, we're going all in. Chips in the middle of the table. We got this NIL. We're going to compete with the best we can, and we're going to go for it. So, yeah, I think we'll see teams do that, especially, in the coming years where the money you earn, the disparity between other teams might grow even larger. So, yeah, I think so.
I think, and another interesting thing about the Deion thing is, I know he's got the Barstool hookup, but he has got his son's company documenting everything. And I know, we old people probably think that's terrible, right? But and I know NC Nick, you were alluding to this with that text message with the kid that dropped the ball, but he's got this thing going nonstop, and he's using that as a recruiting tool. And he got to deal with Amazon. This is going to be a weekly show, the Colorado thing. And I think it's going to have, from what I was hearing, was that it would be a trickle-down effect to their NIL. The players getting some coin from Amazon, potentially.
Taking the Longhorn Network to a different level. When you have your own Amazon deal for your team, that's unique.
Dude. What game you going to next year, Colby?
Oh, we're setting it up, man. I'm super excited. What do you think a realistic expectation is next year on the Colorado? Look, they landed the number 1 tight end in the recruiting class. They got a 4-star transfer wide receiver from USF. They've been hitting the portal heavy. I think they have the 3rd best portal recruiting class currently. If those mean anything. But what do you think a realistic expectation should be for Deion and the Buffs next year? 11 Power 5s in Colorado State on the schedule.
I think they can compete for the Pac-12 championship. I think they maybe they fall a little short, but I mean, if you look, like we said, Oregon State was kind of right there. Washington was right there. Look at the jump that Washington took from 2021 to 2022, just with a new coach. I mean, yeah, sure, they had more talent, to start last year or this year than Colorado does right now. But still, I think with the transfer portal, I think you can jump up quickly.
Yeah, Patty,
I disagree. I think 6-6 you should be happy going bowling. I think 7-5 you should be very happy. I think 5-7 should be considered a real possibility and not a total L. If he gets to 8, that's incredible. But even at Jackson
I would say
State,
6-6 is a major disappointment, if you ask me. Colby, would you be happy with 6-6?
I mean, for year
he
one,
is turning around a ship that is going at 900 miles an hour in that direction, and he's having to flip that thing around in 1 year. First
it's
time
different nowadays, though.
I think the hardest thing is the schedule. You get 11 Power 5s, and 2 of those are the 2 out of conference are TCU, who's in the playoffs, and Nebraska, who should be good based on recruiting rankings.
Again, it's not a fair comparison, but look at Brian Kelly at LSU. Year 1, he wins the SEC West.
That is not at all a fair comparison.
I know a lot more talent at LSU, but a lot of players left also.
I actually think if you look at it, and I know USC had way more talent, but the fact that USC brought in that many transfers maybe maybe that would be a junior version of USC who went, I don't know, but so I would think like 7-5, 8-4 would probably be what you would expect.
I think
And
you guys you're setting the bar really high. You're setting the bar really high for year one.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's go. Let
me throw this little nugget in here, though. You know, I remember Colorado getting 2 Jim Thorpe Award winners in 3 years, in 92 and 94. Looking back, it looks like these Thorpe Awards come in 2s. Deion Sanders and Terrell Buckley in the late 80s, early 90s, 4 years apart. Then Oklahoma had Roy Williams and Derek Strait 2 years apart. Michael Huff and Aaron Ross at Texas back-to-back years. Patrick Peterson and Morris Claiborne back-to-back years. So, I mean, could we see a Travis Hunter, Cormani McClain throwback and the Thorpe Award just making its home in Boulder?
That would be fantastic.
Only Patty C, a former defensive back, cares about the Thorpe Award.
Yeah.
That's why Deion came to Colorado, so he can get a couple of Thorpe trophies.
Jim Thorpe, probably the coolest athlete ever. I'm sorry he didn't get the, I don't even know, Bolitnikov. I mean, Fred Bolitnikov's pretty cool, let's be honest. But
yeah, and he didn't exist when Jim Thorpe was playing ball. But
a legend is a legend.
I mean, look, and I've gotten some DMs saying, how could I support Colorado going out and getting all these portal players, right? And I'll say this, man.
You've never been anti-portal.
Yeah, and Colorado got raided last year. You're looking everywhere. You look everywhere. TCU starting safety is a Colorado transfer. USC starts 2 guys that are Colorado transfers. Christian Gonzalez, the starting corner for Oregon, who's opting out of the bowl game, Colorado transfer. Iowa State starting receiver, Colorado transfer. So we learned that we need to just go all in because we just got raided. We lost like 30 players to the fucking portal.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. The NIL is the game these days, okay? So either you play it or you fall by the wayside.
Yeah. And I wonder if we even get Deion Sanders if it wasn't for that. I'm almost thankful that happened because I don't know that we would have been that desperate. I think they realized like, whoa, all these players that we had that were decent are all dipped out. And, you know,
Deion would not have come if the transfer portal wasn't a tool available at his disposal.
True. Very true. So Ed Reed got hired at Bethune-Cookman. You've seen this recent. Deion's kind of started a trend here, whether it was Eddie George going to Tennessee State, although Eddie George is 9-13. Hugh Jackson got hired at Grambling, 3-8 in year 1. Ed Reed, will it work out? Deion actually, if you go by those metrics of just going and hiring NFL guys, Deion was by far the most successful from a win percentage. Now, granted, he had 1 more year than all those, or than George, and 2 more years than Jackson. But will Ed Reed work out at Bethune-Cookman, Nick?
Who the hell knows, man? Wasn't Bubba McDowell another one?
Yeah, and he had a good year though. He had a good year at Prairie View. He's year 1, first full year.
I think it just depends on the individual, man. Coaching college football is a complete grind, and is Ed Reed, who is very well to do and lives a very comfortable life, is he willing to do the grind? That's one of the big things. So who knows if it's going to work or not? But I think if you're Bethune-Cookman, why the hell not take a chance?
Yeah, I think it's a home run just because he'll bring in the talent, whether you win the games or not.
His name alone puts you on a map somewhere, you know. So yeah, why not?
Patty, see what he makes.
The other thing is, Ed Reed, you know, when you mention the grind, obviously, yeah, that's a big concern. Whether any pro player, you know, we see it in basketball all the time where these guys just aren't cut out for the actual grind of the recruiting trail and the season and the preparation. But Ed Reed supposedly at Miami was one of the guys that had them doing the offseason workouts and really established that grind culture at Miami while he was a player there. And then
he seems like he lives and breathes football. It's true.
Yeah, I think he's still been involved with Miami football program. And so, I think we'll see how he does. I mean, it's a huge jump as a head coach, but I think HBCU is a great plug-in for, you know, former players. And so I hope this trend continues.
Me too. I love it.
Oh, you can even put Trent Dilfer in that mix, I guess. I mean, he coached high school a little bit.
You're right. You're 100% right. Trent Dilfer in there.
Yeah.
Out of the fucking blue. I want to touch base. What else do we have here? Rocky Long was hired as defensive coordinator at Syracuse. The guy's like 90 years old, but he's killing it. Longtime friend of Babers, I believe. He just goes around doing charity to all of his former friends. New DC and Syracuse. Should we watch out for the Orangeman next year, Patty C?
I mean, is Nye still there? Is he coming back?
He's left State, but his assistant that he's been raving about for years, who was previously at Virginia as their quarterbacks coach, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. He is the new OC, so I think he's going to be running Nye's offense essentially.
Depending on how well he can, implement that or keep it running. I don't know. I mean, it kind of bogged down toward the end of the season, obviously, but at the beginning of the season it was rolling.
Part of that was the shredder getting hurt too, though.
Yeah, that's true. Long should be a huge get.
You can't win games with Rocksteady and Bebop at quarterback. All right.
I think it's a good fit because I think the Syracuse defense was good this year, and I know Tony White went to take the same job at Nebraska. And Colby, I think you're thinking of Jason Beck.
Yeah,
who is the new OC. Was he a quarterback? I'm thinking of John Beck for BYU, right?
Yeah.
Never mind. But I think it's a good fit.
But he is a quarterback's coach, so maybe he played QB for all I know. All right, before we get to picking games, guys, I wanted to go through. We graded all the hires in the offseason. I can't remember. I didn't go back and listen to that episode to see if our grades – we probably will in the offseason, but I wanted to just touch base on like what we think what will we grade year one for these coaches. And I'll start off in the ACC, and I'll start with Mike Elko.
A+. What other grade you want to give him?
He's got a great recruiting class coming in too. Did you see that? The Duke's best recruiting class in a long time.
Plus, he got Al Blades Jr. coming over via the portal from Miami. He already got Hornibrook, an offensive lineman, coming over from Stanford. Dude, I mean, I am totally shocked. Duke finished the season, I think it was 8-4.
Dude, they might be contenders to win. They didn't lose. They're not losing much next year.
Right.
At their production.
Yeah.
No one. I think they had 3 players that were backups hit the portal.
Right.
He maintained everything. I mean, I guess they could hit the portal again in April or whatever, but
fantastic job. A+. I mean, well, come on, dude. I mean, you know how bad Duke was the last 2 years? They were awful.
Yeah. Excellent job. Colby, looks like Duke's only at number 50, but that probably is one of their better recruiting jobs.
That's what I'm saying. They were raving about it. I was watching a show. I think it was on the ACC network saying the biggest storyline in recruiting in the ACC is Florida State and Duke. And I'm sitting there like, wow. Wow. Like, I think they knew Miami was going to kill it. So that was already, like, obvious. But they were surprised that Florida State and Duke's come up. Okay, so let's go to let's go to Brent Pry, Virginia Tech.
I mean,
a D?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
We got to be fair and give him the grade he's earned.
I'm not writing him off. Now, it's just 1 year.
He turned it around a little at the end of the year there.
Well, Bud Foster also kind of tipped his hand at this when we had him on the show. He was like, he's going to take some time, he said.
But compare it with Duke. Don't tell me he came into a worse situation than in Durham.
Very true. Very true. And that's why, in nowadays college football, I don't think you're afforded that unless you're Eli Drankowitz. You're really afforded a long leash. And year one, they have a rabid fan base. I don't know if that will work out. Tony Elliott at UVA. Let me ask you that. Pry at Tech or Elliott at UVA? Who should be more optimistic about the first year?
Those are your boys, Patty C. What you got?
Those are tough. That is slim pickings right there for the state schools there. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm more optimistic about Pry just because two of the last 3 games he lost were by 1 point. So if those had turned into wins, then he ends on a 3-4 or a 3-1 end of the season.
I think
meanwhile Elliott was struggling, but I'm not as low on Elliott as you guys are. Even still,
holding that hope. Keep the faith.
You got to give the guy a chance. It could be that everything was so geared toward a nice funky ass offense, and that gave everyone fits that when it came back down to earth and we got a real look at what that talent really was, we saw it for what it really was. And so now maybe Elliott's got to go out and get some talent to make it work for him. And maybe he's capable of that. You got to give him time. Right now, though, like Colby pointed out, recruiting not looking so good.
The worst, all of Power 5, I read.
Oh, man.
Oh yeah. Okay, so let's work
That
that
answers that
transfer portal.
question.
Yeah.
What's next?
Well, what's next in the ACC is Mario Cristobal, who I wonder. Let's rank the ACC higher because Mario Cristobal 1-6 against bowl teams this year.
Wow. Who won the Virginia Tech Miami game?
Miami did barely. I think barely. I think it was in Blacksburg. I think they did win that game.
20-14,
right.
Miami.
Yeah. Elko's the clear cut best hire among the ACC, but the question is where do you go on the next 3 pecking order? Miami's easily the most talented team for a coach to walk into.
Yeah.
You'd be crazy if you didn't say Cristobal.
I think so. Cristobal, then Pry, then Elliott.
Cristobal as the second best hire?
Well, somebody's got to be the second best.
I thought. Are you saying crazy? I thought Patty C was saying crazy if you didn't say he was the worst because he walked into the most amount of talent.
Oh no!
I don't know, man.
Rolling in a top 5 recruiting class is more valuable than
booster. That's not Cristobal. That's that booster.
Rank them any way you want. Who cares? They all had an awful first year and have major question marks moving forward. All right.
All right. Let's continue on this. Let's go out to the Pac-12 where Lincoln Riley, USC. Nick?
B plus. Had them right there, at a stake for the playoffs. So can't ask for too much more than that.
Not an A though. I think some people
an A.
Yeah,
that's fine. That's fair. I'm fine with either one.
Yeah, I think it's an A.
I will say that predictably they were soft when it counted. So maybe if your expectation is a coach that can win a championship, he still hasn't proven that. So maybe it is a B plus.
All right. Fair enough. I think an A though, based off of how bad they were a year ago.
Yeah.
Helton.
It's fair.
Dan Lanning, Oregon. Your thoughts, Patty C?
It's actually turning out to be a pretty good hire. He turned it around by the end of the year. I like his swag, smoking the cigar. Today was a good day after the recruiting signing day. He's doing the Oregon thing a little bit. So I'll give that one a B plus, maybe A. I might give it an A. It's a good hire.
I don't think you give both an A. I think a B or B plus is a good grade. I would probably go B plus here. 9-3 first year. Can't argue with that.
Yeah, a little bit better than what I thought.
Yeah.
Same for Riley.
Well, if you're going to say that booster for Miami, you have to say that booster for Oregon too, because they have the ultimate booster.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that might be quite the battle as Miami is just killing it.
Phil Knight, come on.
Dude, I mean, I would say right now those two are making a big splash. You saw Oregon's recruiting day. I know you did.
Sure.
But Miami right there as well. How about I'm very interested to see how you guys rank the Pac-12 because Kalen DeBauer was the other hire at Washington.
Yeah.
What do you make of I'm going to throw in Jake Dickert into these 4 because that was his first full year. But first, let's talk DeBauer at Washington. That's got to be an A, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know in the preseason I was saying Washington was going to be one of the teams I most wanted to watch because I was a big DeBauer fan coming over from Fresno, and 10-2. Are you kidding me?
Michael Penix returns. The team definitely was ahead of schedule.
You saw what the offense is going to look like too, because they had such a lame ass, boring, dull offense for several years, and they needed, a shot of some energy and excitement, and he brought that. So very good first year.
Patty C, what would you grade that one?
I think I got to give it an A too. I mean, the offense, like you said, exploded. Pretty sure Penix
number
led the
2
nation.
in the nation. Number 2 in the nation. That offense.
So far, look at the Pac-12 hires versus the ACC hires.
Ooh.
And you wonder why the ACC's sucking ass lately.
Yeah.
Other than Elko, jeez.
Yeah, look, we're gonna see about Cristobal, but he's done. But the fact that Lanning kind of has already been more impressive than Cristobal at Oregon with pretty much the same talent should tell you who's the better coach there, at least from an X's and O's standpoint. If Cristobal can get Miami to number 1 classes.
The fact that Manny Diaz was more talented at Miami 2 years ago than Cristobal was at Miami should tell you something. Because they returned.
We'll see about Cristobal.
They returned Van Dyke, who played as a freshman. Manny Diaz had to battle De'Aaron King getting injured and then bringing in a freshman, and they had a better record than Mario Cristobal, knowing that, hey, you're getting this hotshot quarterback. And Mario Cristobal went out and got a slew of transfers last year. It just didn't work out.
Well, if he can go, what did he go, like 6-6 this year?
No, they went 5-7.
5-7 and still haul in a top 5 recruiting class. Imagine if he gets up to 8 or 9.
I mean, Cristobal is a good recruiter historically, but
he is a great recruiter. That is what he's been renowned for.
This has nothing to do with Mario Cristobal. This has to do with John Ruiz and the fact that the NIL is legal. It could have been Patty C coaching, and I think they would have been landing these recruits because they're paying their ass off.
Well, Miami was paying it before. It should have been more of an advantage than when other teams weren't paying. Now they got to actually compete with other teams.
If that's the case, then why are you going 5-7?
Coaching still matters a lot. And, to circle this around to the Deion conversation, we're still not sure how good of a coach Deion is. The smart thing is that he surrounded himself with good coaches so far. I'm not sure if Cristobal's done that. But what? Are we still in the Pac-12 or what?
Yeah.
All I know is we're about an hour in and we haven't picked a game yet.
Well, we only have like 10 games to talk about, you crazy bastard. How about Jake Dickert at Washington State? I think he had a great first year considering.
Yeah. I would say that's probably more in the B range, I guess.
7-6.
Beat their win total record though. Still has a chance to go 8-6, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. Playing in the bowl game.
The bowl game, Fresno, they lost.
Oh, they lost.
6.
Oh, you're right.
They lost. That's right.
So okay,
because they had a bunch of injuries and people that transferred out. So
yeah,
I'd say a B. I think it looks like a solid hire.
I mean, tough schedule. When you go 7-5 in the regular season, but your losses are to Oregon, USC, Oregon State, Utah, and Washington, it's like, okay, that is a ball buster schedule. And a lot of those games were close losses, so if they get marginally better in year 2, then that could be an A hire. But for now, 7-5, you got to call it a B.
What's that pecking order though? You go Lincoln Riley 1, DeBauer 2. I'm guessing for us it would be Lincoln Riley 1, DeBauer. It might be DeBauer 1. You could make a case DeBauer 1.
I go Riley, DeBauer, Lanning,
Dickert.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Probably.
All right, well, let's hop on over to the good old actually, you know what we should do is the independents. Because you had Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame, Jim Mora at UConn, Jerry Kill at New Mexico State, and Don Brown at UMass. I think Don Brown walks away, clear cut. But he might have walked into the worst. I don't know. I guess I don't know where you would put that as far as the worst scenario. Either way, Don Brown disappointing. See, I think they only won 2 games. Might have only been 1. I can't recall. And then you had Jerry Kill 7-6, as New Mexico State remains one of the only teams undefeated in bowl season. 3-0-1 all time, but 7-6. That's a great season at New Mexico State year 1. Jim Mora 6-7, but got him to a bowl. And considering that he lost his starting quarterback, former 4-star Taquan Roberson, in the first game for the season.
Yeah.
And then you haven't mentioned Marcus Freeman yet.
Yeah, no, that's what I was doing. And then Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame, who kind of weathered the storm, but it kind of had some tough losses at the same time that normal Notre Dame fans are not accustomed to. What would you guys rank these? And talk a little bit about who you think the best hire was?
Well, I think you pretty much ranked it in the order you just gave him out. I think the Kill's job at New Mexico State has been fantastic, obviously, this year. Same with the job at UConn. Notre Dame, I would say it's a C+ first year. Still, I think there's a very bright future there. But it wasn't a great first year, right? I mean,
you can't have a loss to what Stanford, who finished, I think, dead last.
Yeah, Marshall. I mean, come on.
I think
a C+. Yeah, I think that's a fair grade.
Clemson, beating the ACC champ is a nice win. Keeping it close against Ohio State, a playoff, an invitational team. I'm gonna give it a B just because the recruiting is good. The program still looks like it has high-end potential under his watch. Obviously, there is a little turmoil and I don't know, rough patches early on, but I think like you said, he weathered the storm.
8-4 is still a very solid first year. I agree.
And it was with a backup quarterback the entire time, like right before the season, his quarterback gets hurt. So I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass. I'll give him a B. But Mora, certainly an A, I feel like, right? And then Kill an A+.
Yeah.
But Don Brown, 1 and 11.
And
with their only win over Stony Brook.
The Seawolves.
Bigger project, and maybe not a bigger project. I think you could argue that the other two, UConn and New Mexico State, might have been just as hard to win at. Either way, I think you got to go. I would go Kill 1, Mora 2, Freeman 3, Brown 4.
Agreed.
Let's talk a little bit about good old SEC action here. You got Brian Kelly and his family at LSU. Billy Napier at Florida. And I believe those were all of the SEC hires, right? Am I drawing
it? Just 2?
Am I drawing a blank here on one? No.
You're right.
That's it, yeah.
You're right. Well, Brian Kelly's an A. He just won the toughest division in football for the last 10 years in his first year.
Brian Kelly is not an A. The LSU has had top 5 talent year in, year out, and the dude went 9-4. That is not up to par.
He won the SEC West.
A down SEC West.
Doesn't matter.
SEC West.
He won the SEC West.
Aren't LSU fans saying, "Hey, we beat Bama. We won." Not only did we win the SEC West, he beat Bama and Saban, which I think, with the exception of 1 year with Orgeron, they'd had a really hard time doing with the 2 previous coaches.
That's a great win for him. That is a great win. Now, he happened to get Bama in the worst year they've had in the last 12 years. So, bravo. He did it on the last play of the game. Great job.
Who's this hater over here? Hater.
He lost to A&M by 15. This team sucks. Okay, they lost to Tennessee by 27, 4 touchdowns. That is not up to LSU. LSU won the national championship 3 years ago. That's the expectation. 9-4 is
in year 1.
Yeah, no, the win total was 7.
6.5, I think.
Yeah, just because the pollsters can look at the situation and analyze it for what it is, doesn't mean that that's what the people at Baton Rouge expect. And they have the talent.
I don't know, man. I think year 1, I'll say it one more time. Year 1, you win the SEC West. It's hard to give it anything other than an A.
That's all they really care about there is beating Bama and getting Saban.
Right?
I'll give it like a soft B+.
And meanwhile, your other guy in Gainesville, I think that is probably a D. Yeah, I mean, they're still bold, but still, I mean,
I don't think that's going to work out, man.
I don't think so either. I don't know.
Fire Dan Mullen, who was a year removed of the SEC championship. Crazy, absolutely fucking crazy. And I mean, we'll see, because it's only year 1, but 6-7, and in my opinion, they were closer to a 4-win team than a 7-win team to me. Like, they should have probably lost to Utah and South Florida. South Florida was up like 80% of that game. And I think if you watch the Utah game, you'd say, hey, Utah looks like the better team. Very fortunate to be.
Don't worry, Graham Mertz is coming.
Graham Mertz to the rescue. Let me tell you this, though. The floor of the SEC East has risen. So, close games for a year 1 coach that would have been won at Florida before now are tougher, and he took L's. So I do think you got to give Napier some time.
We'll see. We shall. Here we got the Big Ten. That they didn't have any new coaches, did they?
Wow, none. That's surprising.
I don't think so. Yeah, which is crazy. They will this next year, but okay. Then let's go through. What do you think? The Big 12. I said Big 12. You got Sonny Dykes at TCU. Okay, I think that
would B+ if I'm Patty C grading them. They didn't lose that championship game to K-State.
Colby D, how much crow are you eating on the old?
Yeah. Well, no. Look, I said this to be fair. I said he's a guy that's going to be 7-5 and 6-6 every year. I'm eating tons of shit there, but it's not like I said he would be like 0-12. I thought he was serviceable, but I thought it was not a home run hire. Clearly, I'm a fucking idiot.
Well, we'll see what he does after this. Having a Heisman-level quarterback, which I don't know if Duggan would be year in, year out. Certainly has something to do with what he coached him up to be. But I don't know if he's going to be able to do that year in, year out because he hasn't done it before.
And I know we've mentioned this before, but he didn't start Duggan week 1.
That's right.
His boy,
Colorado gave him a gift.
was it Chandler? What was the other quarterback's
Chandler
name?
Morris
Chandler Morris.
knocked out Chandler Morris. Colorado gave me a little gift, a little dust up gift. All right. What about Joey McGuire at Texas Tech? Their first 7-win season since Mike Leach. Their first clear winning season.
Wow.
The other years they went 6-6 and then lost the bowl game. Ended up 6-7.
And that was with a ton of injuries too. So
four different quarterbacks started.
Yeah,
four different quarterbacks.
So I'd say you give that at least a B, if not a B plus.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to take a peek back at their schedule. 7-5, beat Oklahoma. That's a W.
Their first season beating
beat
Oklahoma
Texas.
and Texas the same year ever.
And Houston. I mean, that's beautiful.
Okay, B plus.
Yeah, you got to be happy with that.
Yeah. Then I want to get to Brent Venables, Oklahoma. And by the way, we're going to get to this game here in a second. I think that might be one of the most important bowl games for Brent Venables because having a losing season in year 1 at Oklahoma, if they lose to Florida State, which we will get to in a minute here, Venables, Oklahoma, what do you think?
Awful. That's basically the Napier at Florida scenario.
No.
Yeah, that's a
They
tough
look
one.
better
To,
by eye test to me, though, than Florida did.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple close losses, 3-point overtime loss at Texas Tech, 3-point loss at West Virginia, 3-point loss against Baylor to end the season. But they gotta get it figured out. I mean, the quarterback situation, pretty rough having to get that figured out after probably everyone thinking of them as what they did have, which was what, Mordecai, Williams, and
Rattler.
Rattler, yeah. Kind of empty covered from a quarterback standpoint, which Oklahoma hasn't had in a long time. So if he gets that figured out, which you got to figure he will, then they'll be back.
Okay, let's but pecking order would probably be obviously Dykes, McGuire, Venables, correct?
Yeah.
Let's talk a little Sunbelt action because Michael Desamoreau at Louisiana goes 6-7 in year 1. Clay Helton goes 6-7 in year 1. And then you have John Sumrall, who went 11-2 at Troy in year 1. So the question
year 1 or year 2 for Sumrall?
Year 1. Year 1.
Oh, wow. Well, that's an A. He's
Lottie fucking done. Okay?
Then you got to go Helton at 2 because Georgia Southern had, they weren't expected to go 6-6 and make a bowl. And Desor Mo clear number 3 because Louisiana still had a lot of talent there. And they were expected to do a whole lot better than 500.
I agree. Patty C, you agree there?
Yeah, that's a pretty clear one.
Let's shift on over to the AAC where you had good old Stan Drayton at Temple, Rhett Lashley at SMU, and I believe those are the only 2 in the AAC. What'd you guys make of those? And I got to be honest, I was very surprised in Stan Drayton. Lashley kind of did what I expected / a little less than what I expected.
Yeah.
I was really impressed by Drayton's first year, especially after the first 4 games. They kind of opened up the offense when they went to EJ Warner.
They were at least competitive, and that was obviously a much harder position to go into. So I think you rank him above SMU, definitely.
Yeah, Lashley.
Yeah,
Patty C, you agree?
Yeah, 10-point loss at Houston, a 3-point loss against ECU, even a 20-point loss against Cincy. All of those pretty respectable by Temple standards. So I think they're happy with that. And yeah, I would say the same thing about Lashley. Slightly underperformed, but they were still competitive at times against good teams. So I don't think you get ready to fire him yet. I think you give him some time.
And then you got the CUSA with Mike McIntyre at the airport and Sonny Cumbie at Louisiana Tech. Ooh, I think that's pretty clear cut. McIntyre overachieved their win total greatly, and Sonny Cumbie and La Tech were pretty terrible. Nick?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, FIU might have only won 2 or 3 games still, but that was a lot better than the year before. And I think we kind of knew this, and we kind of called this, but yeah, that's the clear order in the.
And they beat him head to head.
There you go,
McIntyre.
Yeah, that's true. And then you have first, I guess we mentioned the MAC, Joe Moorhead at Akron. What do you guys think? 2-10 first season, had a lot of close losses.
You saw improvement. You saw improvement as the year went along. Again, not an easy situation to go into. I know you thought they were going to do a lot better than that.
I ended up pushing because my game got canceled.
Yeah,
so.
but I'm still not like down on the hire. I think he still could be the right guy for the job. And that's all you can ask for is just see that continual improvement.
Yeah, Patty C.
Yeah, I would agree. A couple close losses, like we said, a 6-point loss against EMU. Then they whooped on Northern Illinois, and then a 1-point loss at Buffalo at the end of the year. That's getting there. It's getting closer for him toward the end. So maybe year 2 is where we see the jump.
All right, and last but not least, the Mountain West. Jeff Tedford at Fresno State, Jay Norvell, Colorado State, Timmy Chang, Hawaii, and Ken Wilson at Nevada. I think we all had Tedford as an A. He wins 10 games, which I believe for his last 4 years at Fresno, 3 of those seasons, 10-win seasons, 2 of those Mountain West championships. It's amazing.
Opening up a can on Washington State in the bowl game.
It's amazing to me that a Power 5 never come calling after Cal. After having that much success at Cal, which was, I think, their winningest coach ever, that other schools didn't come calling for him. But I think he's the clear-cut A.
Did he go straight into the pros out of Cal, or was he sitting around for a while before he?
No, after he got fired. After he got fired at Cal, he got a quarterbacks coach, I think, at the Bucks, Tampa Bay Bucks. If memory serves me correctly. Yeah. And then Fresno, but it's unbelievable job as they win the Mountain West in his first year back in Fresno. And then you have the question: Norvell, Chang, Wilson. Chang, actually, I got to give him a little credit. They got better than what I thought.
True.
I actually think I would go Chang 2, Norvell 3, Wilson 4. But I also know Wilson walked into an awful scenario, so I kind of forecasted them to go 2-10.
And if anything, I was expecting better things from Colorado State. You guys don't need to remind me. I'll put that out there before you guys have a chance to. But yeah, I like your order. I'll co-sign.
All right. Well,
3 wins at the Chang for Chang. So you got to he's getting that home field advantage going.
There you go.
Chang,
All right.
Chang.
Well, we're going to get to picking games. But before we do, I want to tell you that the College Football Experience is brought to you by WynnBET. It is the official online sports book, not sports bet, of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network and the College Football Experience. WynnBET is active in a bunch of states, and there are tons of ways to win, including live betting and same-game parlays. Look, there's reduced juice on sides and totals for all bowl games, game day of. You got to check it out. Great promos, great odds, great payouts are happening right now at WynnBET. Ready to play? Well, sign up today to receive a special offer. Bet $100, win $100. That is limited to state availability, but there's so much to choose from. And all you have to do is head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET, the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET, and let them know that we sent you. All right. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions at wynnbet.com. Must be 21 or older and the present state where play with WynnBET is available. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. All right, we are back on the B side of the College Football Experience, where we are picking winners, baby.
Cheers, boys. Bourbon number 2. Let's pick some games.
Let's get over to the first slate of games Wednesday. UCF taking on Mike Elko and the Duke Blue Devils in the Military Bowl in Annapolis, Maryland. Patty C, why don't you scoot on over there and catch out Mike Elko's sweet ass in action? All right,
watch a real winner for once.
Guys, Duke is a 3.5-point favorite, and I have a little synopsis going on here of this game. Well, let me get this straight. Mikey Keene hit the portal to Fresno State, where, speaking of the devil, Jeff Tedford's probably going to make him a first-round draft pick. But John Rice Plumlee's injured. So we're talking third. They haven't released anything on if he's playing, but we think he's out of this game. So you're talking third-string quarterback at UCF. Also, how about the fact that UCF lost their offensive coordinator to North Carolina, lost their defensive coordinator to Arkansas. and a slew of other players, like their top receiver, hit the portal. I look at Duke and I see, like I said, 3 backups who didn't get burned, hit the portal, but that's by far one of the best out of all of college football. I am all over. I mean, UCF lost a starting corner. They lost a key linebacker. Give me Duke minus 3.5. Another thing is you're giving Mike Elko a month to prepare for this cha-cha-cha offense. Give me Duke minus 3.5. I love this play. Nick?
No, lock it up, man. I think it's a clear play. I think, first off, I think UCF probably had their sights set higher than the Military Bowl versus Duke. So motivation's a factor. Meanwhile, I think Duke is thrilled to be in a bowl game because I think most of the players on that team haven't been to one yet. So they're pumped to play this game. They won 4 out of their last 5. You mentioned they're hardly losing anybody via the portal. Meanwhile, Central Florida, they lost 2 out of the last 3, and the only win was a nail-biter against South Florida, who went 1-11. So this is clear, cut, and dry. Give me Duke all day. Lock it up.
Oh, I'm with you, man. I mean, I get it. Okay. I mean, Ryan O'Keefe, by the way, he went to Boston College. Their star
Strange transfer there. Like,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, star linebacker Jeremiah Jean-Baptiste went to Ole Miss, and then their starting quarter Devontae Brown went to Miami. I'm with you. Patty C, what are you doing here?
Well, all the things you mentioned about the quarterback, especially with Malzahn being a pretty quarterback-driven offense, and like you said, Duke Elko having time to prep up for that offense. And then you have, current weather in Washington, D.C., 33 degrees. It's been colder than that. Current weather in Durham, 28. Current weather in Orlando, 51. But they've been having highs of 77 most of these days. So we all know that Duke is going to be more prepared to play in ice-cold weather than UCF will. So I think all those factors say lean Duke here.
Yes, sir.
All right, now we go to Memphis, Tennessee, where the Liberty Bowl is happening. And shout out to the beat reporter that reported that, I forget if it was Kansas or Arkansas's beat reporter, but there's no water going on in the city of Memphis right now. Interesting storyline as he checked into his hotel and was told there was no water and they don't know when they'll have water. Kansas is catching 2.5 points against Arkansas. Now, Memphis, Tennessee is right next to the state of Arkansas. I'm talking like a 5-minute drive. However, you got a slew of guys out. I mean, first off, let's start off with Barry Odom, their DC, taking the head coaching position at UNLV. Then you have their backup quarterbacks, Malik Hornsby and Cade Renfro, out. Jaden Hazelwood, their best wide receiver. Well, 2 wide receivers that actually got substantial amount of time in Ketron Jackson and Jaden Hazelwood. 1 opted for the portal, 1 opted out. Their starting tight end transferred to South Carolina. Their starting center opted out. They have just an unbelievable amount of guys on the defensive side of the ball. Let me count this up. 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 guys out on the defensive side of the ball to opt out / portal, including 2 all SEC guys. Meanwhile, you look at Kansas, and yes, okay, they got some players that have transferred. I think the only substantial, and they still have Daniel Heshaw, the running back, who's a backup. He's injured still, but I would say the only substantial one is Eric Gilliard, the UCF transfer, who was kind of used as he'd start some games at linebacker, but besides that, they should be in pretty decent shape here. They have the Daniels Bean controversy, I guess, to ponder. But what are you doing here, Nick?
Yeah, I'm on Kansas. They're the team, the roster, and the staff is basically intact. And Arkansas lost a lot. I mean, look at their defensive opt-outs. Their defense was bad as it was. And then with the receivers. Now, they still have a couple of my favorite SEC players in KJ Jefferson and Rocket Sanders. And I think they could go wild. I think there could be a lot of points in this game here. But I think Kansas, again, they have more motivation because similar to Duke, they are freaking thrilled to be playing in a bowl game. Meanwhile, Arkansas, with all these players leaving and some of the coaching staff leaving, I don't see them caring and really getting up for this. So I'm on the Jayhawks.
You got to figure, though, that it's going to be an Arkansas crowd.
Potentially.
I looked it up. Fayetteville to Memphis by travel right now is 4 hours, 39 minutes. It's all the way on the other side of the state of Arkansas. Lawrence.
Great. They have great fans, though. They do have great fans. I'll probably travel for it.
Your average
Lawrence
Arkansas
is only 7 hours, 49 minutes. So it's not that much further.
No. I disagree, though, because Arkansas is one of these states where the whole state is Arkansas fans. So like 5 minutes over the border, they're all going to go and say, hey, we get a chance. We don't have to drive to Fayetteville. We can just go right there for the game.
Good point. Good point.
I think they'll be all Arkansas fans, but I am going to ride Kansas too. I'm going to ride that momentum. I think that Nick's point of motivation mixed with actual, like, they don't have as much. I think they have much more buy-in from a roster standpoint. So,
well, they didn't have a lot of buy-in in the second half of the season, losing 6 of their last 7. Meanwhile, I mean, it was some tough losses. 3 of their last 4 were losses for Arkansas. Both these teams backing into bowl season. That said, just on eye test alone, I know you mentioned all the players that are going to be out for Arkansas, but they're just a way better team than 2.5 points based on the second half of the season than Kansas is. So I'm taking Arkansas, and I'm locking it.
Oh, whoa. Wow. Saying Razorback on. Moving along, we're going to San Diego, California, where the Oregon Ducks are taking on the North Carolina Tar Heels, where I feel like it's an appropriate time to mention that the Pac-12 and ACC, whether bowl games or regular season, have squared off 37 times since the year 2000. The Pac-12 is 28-9 against the ACC. Oregon's laying 13.5 right now. They are without a slew of players, including their offensive coordinator who took the head coaching job at Arizona State, was Kenny Dillingham. Bo Nix will play in the bowl game. But here's the problem is Oregon was a top 10 offense. You lose the OC now, maybe they'll be able to be fine there. But defensively, they weren't that good this year. And Christian Gonzalez, their best defensive back, has opted out to go to the pros. And Noah Sewell, who's probably going to be a top 10 pick for the Oregon Ducks, has opted out as well. And they also have lost 3 other players on the defensive side of the ball. But at the same time, you have the North Carolina Tar Heels. Obviously, Jacoby Criswell, the backup quarterback, who lost the starting spot to Drake May, hit the portal. Josh Downs opted out. And their entire defense, I feel like. I don't know what happened. Words of Chisholm, but those words didn't hit well because I'm counting 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 defensive players. Most of these guys, a lot of starters here dipping out.
And they were the 116th ranked defense with all those starters.
However, here's what I believe, buddy. I believe Oregon's secondary was terrible all year, and now you lose Christian Gonzalez. But even bigger than that, you lose Noah Sewell. I think Carolina's going to be able to move the ball on this defense. I'm going to take the 13.5 in the Tar Heels. Nick?
Well, look, I'm a Tar Heels hater, so take everything I say with a grain of salt here. But UNC proved to be a complete fraud over the last third of the season. They lost 3 straight to end things. And I mentioned this before the Clemson game. You guys failed to listen. You guys still went UNC. But Drake May has not been the same Drake May over that stretch of games. Over those last 3 losses, he's been under 60% completion percentage, 1 touchdown to 4 interceptions, only averaging about 234 yards per game. A precipitous drop from the way he started out his first year under center as a starter for the Tar Heels. And Bo Nix is returning and playing. I think that means a lot. And UNC always struggles against bigger, more physical teams. And Oregon had the 14th best rushing attack in the country this year. I think they're going to run it down the throat of those Tar Heels. I'm going to lay the big number, actually. Don't feel great about it because I know, it's bowl season. Usually you just take the points. But I'm going to go Oregon this time.
Also, Phil Longo left for Wisconsin. So without their
that's a big one. That might be the biggest of all of them.
And their O-line coach, Jack Bicknell Jr. I don't know. I mean, I'm taking the points. Patty C, what are you doing here?
You made a lot of good points, Colby, that almost swayed me back to North Carolina, especially with May probably wanting to, perform really well during bowl season and push North Carolina, and have momentum going into the offseason since he's going to be returning. But I think Oregon's just a far better team. The end of the year proved that, and so I think they get a late cover in this.
Yeah, okay. There we go. Next up, we go to the Texas Bowl at that filthy fucking dome in Houston. Just waste of a football game. Texas Tech is taking on Ole Miss. Ole Miss laying 3.5 points currently. Texas Tech's in an interesting spot because Tyler Shuck, who gets injured every time he breathes, is projected to start this game because, well, their backup, who started a lot of games, you might even say he was the starter for the year, Donovan Smith, hit the portal. He's now at Houston with Dana Holgorsen. And then their other backup who played a lot, Baron Morton, he is injured and not available, I believe, for this game. Meanwhile, so Shuck is the guy, but at the same time, now what's cool is they do have a offensive lineman who's heading to the NFL, coming out a little early, but he said he's playing in the bowl game. Shout out to Weston Wright. Let's go. I think they lost a defensive guy on the side of the ball. Meanwhile, Ole Miss, the backup quarterback, Luke Altmaier, who played some, gone in the portal. Michael Trigg, their star tight end, out. They also lost, I guess, a couple defensive guys. But kind of, I guess Ole Miss lost their O-line coach as well, and Jake Thornton.
No big losses for Ole Miss, so I think Lane Tiffin returning is pretty big.
100%, and that's why I'm going to lay the points with Ole Miss. Why is this once again? This is a bullshit matchup here. It's a bullshit matchup. They should be playing a better team. But give me Ole Miss minus 3.5. Patty?
Yeah, it's pretty rare you see the team from the SEC with the better regular season record than a team from any other conference. Ole Miss 8-4, Texas Tech 7-5. Not sure how that happened, but it's going to be close just because Texas Tech is chippy. You know, they play good teams really close. The Big 12, like we said, all year might have been top to bottom the toughest conference, and they kept in a lot of those games. Meanwhile, Ole Miss losing 4 of their last 5, but against some really, really elite competition. The back end of their schedules, like no one else.
Front end of their schedule was dog shit. We called this.
It was.
Yeah,
it was tough to tell which Ole Miss is the real Ole Miss, but I think they covered 3.5. But I'm not that confident in it.
I think the matchup here is you're looking at Ole Miss and their number 3 rushing attack in the country against a Texas Tech rushing defense that ranks 90th. I think Ole Miss controls the clock, controls the lines of scrimmage, wins and covers.
Are both backs for Ole Miss going to be playing?
Zach Evans, I think, he's either hurt or transferred, right?
I don't think he's transferred. I think he's hurt.
No?
He should transfer.
Maybe he's hurt.
He should transfer. Syracuse taking on Minnesota in the Bronx, Yankee Stadium. Shout out to this game. I like these games at baseball stadiums. I really do. I really do. It's old school. You go back and look at college football when it first was created. A lot of games played at whether it's Ebbets or what a lot of class. Wrigley played a lot of
stadium for the Browns.
Yeah, I like this. I like this thing of playing and I wish they would have done one of the playoff games in New York City. Syracuse. Well, we know Robert and I is gone, so the Shredder will have to win this one as a 10-point dog. Minnesota's favored by 10. However, Sean Tucker, who's like 98% of their offense, is gone. They had a bunch of other players too. I mean, obviously they got hit in the portal on the defensive. They lost their defensive coordinator as well, but they did lose. They did lose some guys on the defensive side of the ball. I'm counting 6 guys out on the defensive side of the ball. Meanwhile, Minnesota, we don't know what's happening with Tanner Morgan. Good play. He might not. He missed the pass too. Chris Altman-Bell's still injured. Their star wideout. But on the defensive side of the ball, they had some guys hit the portal, but they weren't really, I guess, actually linebacker Braylon Oliver and safety Michael Dixon were pretty big losses in the portal. Minnesota running back coach Ken Burns, baby. He left to be the head coach of Kent State. I'm taking Minnesota minus the 10. I think they're the better team. I think Syracuse is going to move. Minnesota has a top, 5 defense. I don't think Syracuse is going to be able to move the ball on this defense. I know Syracuse is also a dome team. I know it's in New York, so the crowd might be pro Syracuse. It's not going to matter. All right, give me Minnesota minus the 10. Nick, ACC, you representing?
Yes. I did struggle with this one though, but I'm not gonna lay two games where I'm laying double digits here. So here's one where I took my bowl game, standard and just take the point. So I think Minnesota wins, but like Minnesota doesn't like blow teams out for the most part. So I think Syracuse can hang around and cover.
Patty?
Minnesota, I mean, the second half of Syracuse's season, they almost lost 6 in a row there. They saved themselves against Boston College, but
Barely.
Yeah.
By a point, I think.
Yeah. No, 32-23. So they must have pulled
No,
away.
but they battled back, man. BC was up big. They had like a huge fourth quarter to win that game.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Minnesota was killing great teams at the end of the year, beating Nebraska by 7 and beating Northwestern, losing to Iowa. So they're not great either. And 10 points is a lot for them, especially in the snow. But they're just that much better than Syracuse. So I'm going to go with Minnesota here.
There we go. Next up, we go to the Cheez-It Bowl in Orlando, which you would think huge advantage for the Seminoles here. Florida State taking on Oklahoma, but I actually find this one somewhat intriguing, this matchup, because this is one of the bowl games I'm actually excited for. Like I said, Venables, I think if he has a 6-7 first year, I think that's really concerning to Oklahoma fans, and I think that seat might get really hot. They're a year away. They might even be in SEC play next year. There's talk about this right now, ongoing. I don't know, man, but then you look at the situation. Their backup quarterback Nick Evers transferred to Wisconsin. Running back Eric Gray opted out. There's the Tennessee transfer. Theo Weiss, one of their better wideouts, hit the portal. Also on the offensive line, both tackles opted out. Then their defensive tackle on the defensive side of the ball, Jalen Redmond, opted out. I mean, they lost some guys. And then you have Florida State, who it seems like everyone's buying in. Yeah, they had a couple players hit the portal, but they weren't guys that were really on the field a lot. Meanwhile, Jordan Travis announced he's returned. He's playing. Even Jared Verse, the star defensive end, the transfer from Albany, announced he's going to play the game. Same with safety Jamie Robinson, and both those guys going to be in the NFL. This is a really interesting match. This is one of the bowl games I actually want to watch. Florida State's laying 9.5 points. I was originally going to take Florida State, but the more I thought about it, I thought the more pressure is on Venables. I'm going to take the 9.5 in Oklahoma, and I do believe the Big 12 is better, a lot better, and that's the difference maker for me. Give me Oklahoma plus 9.5. Patty C?
Yeah, that just seems like too many points. I know Florida State obviously finished strong at the end of the season there, where they win their last 5, and then their losses were close. Wake Forest 10, NC State 2 in a game they should have won, and Clemson by 6. So, I mean, they actually had a really good year. All that said, I still just feel like Oklahoma, from a talent standpoint, isn't 10 points worse than Florida State. So I think Oklahoma covers this.
Nick?
Well, good points, guys. But yeah, so Florida State hasn't lost since October 15th. And during that 5-game win streak, they did beat 3 bowl teams. So it's not like they were just, beating up, cream pies like Boston College and teams like that. So Florida State's at full strength. And I think the fact that hardly anybody's leaving is a total vote of confidence in Mike Norvell, who actually has some momentum here. And I think a 10-game season would be huge. And I think it would really set the table for what could be an even bigger year 4. So I'm on Florida State, man. The fact that both offensive tackles, offensive tackles are out for Oklahoma. Give me the Seminoles, man.
I can see it. I have no confidence in this game. It should be entertaining, though. Colby, would you say the blue blood factor here is drawing you in? That's very anti-Colby.
No,
TMZ Dundee.
Yeah, not very.
Nice little rhyme to it.
No, the fact that Oklahoma could have a losing season is drawing me in. 6-7. I'm all about it. And I love this because I was sitting there thinking about this today. I'm like, well, UCLA hasn't played for a Pac-12 championship ever since they've had the championship game. USC has won what, 1? Maybe 2 since they had the championship game, but only one of recent years, right?
Maybe only one. Yeah.
Yeah. Then I'm like, wait, they both didn't win it this year. They're going to the Big 10. That's some dead weight. Get rid of them. Then Oklahoma and Texas haven't played for a Big 12 championship in, 3 years now? And Texas even longer. So take that dead weight.
He's really trying to sell losing these blue bloods as a perk.
Blue bloods are done. Now that NIL is happening, blue bloods are fucking done. You saw it with the recruiting rankings in the top 100. Let's go. Before I get to this next game, I just want to highlight the fact that currently up 45-21 with 9 minutes left. There's only one Carolina school.
What's your Mike Houston rating now after his first bowl win for Greenville?
I locked this because I knew they would win
obvious.
this. Yeah, well, not only because of the Chadwell thing, I also thought because the bowl game got canceled last year, I thought that the team really wanted this Holton Oilers final game. So let's go. All right, now back to the programming. Alamo Bowl, San Antonio, Texas. Once again, filthy stadium here, the Alamo Dome, the house that J.R. Reed built. Here you go. You got Texas laying 3.5, but call me crazy here. So let me get this straight. Texas is laying 3.5, even though Bijan Robinson and Rashawn Johnson, both their running backs, are opting out. Besides a slew of other players, Jaleel Billingsley at tight end. Meanwhile, Washington, Michael Penix coming back, saying he's playing in the bowl game, number 2 offense. So you're going to have Quinn Ewers having to throw the ball, which has been a question mark all year against Washington. I get it. It's going to be a Texas crowd because it's in this filthy stadium that's like an hour south of Austin. But Washington should be favored. They're the better team. Give me the Huskies plus 3.5. Sprinkle that money line. Nick?
Well, Penix, yeah, I mean, he didn't just say that he was playing. He said that how pumped he is to play in his first bowl game ever, which is kind of surprising because he's been around for a long time. But even that really good year with Indiana, that was a COVID year.
He got injured too.
Okay, yeah. So he mentioned that this is his first bowl game ever, so he's very excited to play, which I like hearing that from the team leader of Washington because these bowl games don't really matter and some teams don't care. It appears Washington will care. The question is Texas's ground game. So their top 2 guys are out, but do they still have some like 5-star blue chipper third string guy that's going to come in and dominate? Or will the ground game not be as effective? Because if you look at passing attacks, both defenses are awful stopping the pass. Texas 90th, Washington 91st. But Washington passes the ball very well. Number 1 passing attack in America. Texas 64th. So that obviously favors the Huskies. And then, I mean, you got the whole Quinn Ewers thing. Like, that dude needs to impress with Arch Manning coming to town. You know?
True.
At the end of the day, I took the points, man, because I think it's an interesting game. I think it's probably 50-50. I think Washington might slightly be the better team. So give me the points.
Patty C, what are you doing?
I'm with you guys. I mean, I know we revel in the fact that Texas is, 8-4 and somewhat mediocre again, but they did beat Kansas State. They did only lose to TCU by 7. They ended the season with wins against Kansas and Baylor, which aren't world beaters, but still good wins. Washington obviously 10-2 is 10-2. Only 2 losses were on the front and back end of a back-to-back road. Obviously a nice little break here, so they're not facing that challenge, but they are going to San Antonio and what will definitely be a very Texas crowd.
Every fucking year, Texas plays in this bowl game. Colorado played them 2 years ago. It's such a crock of shit. Can you schedule them outside of the state of Texas, you filthy fucking whores? God.
Or if they're going to like Louisiana, they're going to New Orleans, or they're going to wherever, Phoenix. I would say the wrong team's favored, but 3.5 points is a definite. It's borderline lock. It's especially with Bijan Robinson out. A lot of pressure on Quinn Ewers without him there. So you know what? I'm going to lock up Washington.
Well, look, you cracked the safe last night. You got a lot of money. Lock up Washington. Patty C. Locking up the Huskies. All right. Moving along to Friday, December 30th. Maryland, NC State. I talked about this on the SGP show. Many of years, me and NC Nick, growing up, We wanted to watch Michigan, Ohio State, or Colorado, Nebraska, or something. And back in those days, you didn't get every game on TV. You had regional coverage. So many of those years, you'd be stuck with Maryland.
Oh, Jefferson Pilot Sports.
Yeah. Rick Doc Walker on the call. All right. You'd be stuck with Maryland and NC State. You're sitting there like, why am I watching 2-7 Maryland against 4 and 5 NC State? It was a lot of pain. Shout out to the Bulls. They said, let's bring back some of that misery. This is in Charlotte, North Carolina at Duke's Mayo Bowl.
Dude, and also, if you forget, Maryland used to kind of have NC State's number. I think it was the Russell Wilson year where NC State was undefeated, like in early November, I think, and lost at Maryland. Maryland was like a 500 team. So Maryland's been known to spoil some NC State seasons in years past. But sorry, go ahead.
Well, I mean, this one, it's tough to get a read. You have their star tight end just transferred to Bama tonight. Their Raheem Jarrett, Jacob Copeland, and Dante Demas, their top 3 wideouts, all opted out. Oh, man. The defensive side of the ball, they lost some key guys to the portal. I'm talking Ahmad McCullough, who was the 4th leading tackler on the team. Plus, you lost Deontay Banks, who opted out, who's the best corner on the team, who's going to the NFL. I mean, just a slew of guys out for the Terps. But at the same time, NC State, we talked about it. Their offensive coordinator, I almost think this is a good thing. Tim Beck took the head coaching job at Coastal Carolina. I think the offense will improve. They finished in the hundreds. But Devin Leary's gone. MJ Morris is out as well. I think he is. We don't know that 100%.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't know that. He might come back.
But they did get hit in the portal. They got hit in the portal by and to injury on the defensive side of the ball. I'm counting 5 guys out for the Wolfpack. Man, I have had a hard time forecasting this game. I really have. I really fucking have. But I can't take NC State. I'm an ECU guy. Fuck you, NC State. I cashed in on that under. You guys are overrated every year. Give me the Terps and Mike Loxley. I feel filthy saying that. Patty C, what are you doing here?
The game being in Charlotte, and all other things that being held equal, I gotta lean the Wolfpack here. They're only giving 1. I think they get that done. I mean, I could go deeper into that, but like you said, it's funny you brought up Rick Doc Walker. Just a quick aside here. Apparently, the Hogs, who are Dan Snyder is trying to celebrate this weekend, want to sue him and are having a cease and desist about that dude can't win. Everyone hates Dan Snyder. I mean,
he brought it on himself.
He
brought everything on himself.
He did. When you can't even celebrate your former players without getting sued, then you are well hated. But anyway, as this game, I got to go NC State. I just can't trust Maryland, especially with all that talent not playing for him.
He could win over the world if he changed it back to the Redskins right now.
He could. Well, right. Part of the world.
Yeah, except the
Washington DC.
Except the New York Times and Washington Post. They went over the Roanoke Gazette. Anyway, yeah. I mean, Nick, what are you doing here? You going with your
you know who I'm on here. All right, look, first off, Maryland, they're a bit phony. Okay, so yeah, they won 4 Big Ten games, but that was against Michigan State, Indiana, Northwestern, and Rutgers. So there was not a bowl team in that bunch. So they only have 2 wins over bowl teams this year, and that is a 6-6 Buffalo squad in week 1.
7-6 now.
Well, regular season wins, buddy. Regular season.
That's a winning team, baby.
And a 7-5 SMU squad. And yeah, so Maryland's receiver group is decimated, down a couple starters on defense. We got in the state of North Carolina. You know I'm going NC State. Come on.
You filthy whores. This one, I was shocked I'm very shocked at this one here.
Same here. It stinks.
The Sun Bowl.
Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl.
They need to play. Honestly, like I really would love to see the playoffs, like the national championship held at the Sun Bowl. This stadium's awesome. It's like in the middle of a mountain. On the have you ever seen this stadium, guys?
Been there forever, of course. I mean, yeah. Dude, who hasn't been watching football for years that haven't seen the Sun Bowl?
By far one of the best stadiums in college football. Pitt is
old as the Orange Bowl and the Sugar Bowl, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, but this tell me what am I missing here on this game? Because first off, you have the Pitt travel situation. And if you caught Joe Golding, the UTEP basketball coach, he drove, I think, 3 or 4 Pitt players from the Dallas airport that were stranded at the Dallas airport to El Paso, which is like a 9-hour drive, I think yesterday, right? So you have that scenario. Shout out to college basketball helping save college football yet again. But then you have the fact that, let me get this straight, Keaton Slovis, gone. He's at BYU. He's soaking. Meanwhile, Nick Patty, the guy who played the Tennessee game in the second half and overtime, he's out. They had been prepping with Nate Yarnell at quarterback, but he's sick. You're talking about a 4th-string quarterback potentially playing for the Pitt Panthers, and guess what? What's his name? Ayabanaconda, their star running back who gets like 7 million carries a game, he's gone. A bunch of their receivers are gone. Their offensive tackles, both of them opted out. Their best defensive tackle opted out. Their best D-end opted out. Their Servassier Dennis, their star linebacker, opted out. Safety Brandon Hill, who's going to be in the NFL, opted out. A few others hit the portal on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, and then you have Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who we think is playing in this UCLA game. And I'm hearing that Charbonnet and Bobo might be going as well. We've seen the record of the ACC against the Pac-12. I am all over UCLA minus 5.5. This makes zero sense to me. Why is this line so small? I would set this at like 13.
The question is, will you dive into the stink?
I'm diving all into the stink. Lock it up. Give me the Bruins. Lock it up. I like Duke. I like a little parlay between Duke, and I like this UCLA game a lot. Patty C, what are you doing?
I'm with you, double lock.
Oh, NC Nick triple lock?
Yes.
Oh, let's go. Another angle is UCLA had their bowl game canceled last year. So this will be like their first bowl game, like, under Chip Kelly, right?
I don't understand it, man. I mean, you could tell me that Pitt was at full strength, and I would still probably lay 5.5 with UCLA.
Yes.
And Slova's gone. I can say it one more time. My Anaconda is also gone. Lock UCLA, man. Lock it up for sure.
Yeah, all day. Next up, we go to Jacksonville, Florida, where the Notre Dame Fighting Irish are taking on the South Carolina Gamecocks. This game's absolute ass. This game is so fucking. I have zero interest in watching this because. Oh wait, Drew Pine, their starting quarterback for Notre Dame, at Arizona State. Tyler Buchner, he's injured, so we're looking at a 3rd-string quarterback.
Oh, is that? I didn't see that yet. Buckner's out.
Yep. He had a season-ending shoulder injury, buddy.
Well, when? I mean, because the reports were that he was going to be back for this game, potentially.
Well, even if so.
Yeah, no, so he returned to practice in a limited capacity.
Okay, so we're still not sure yet.
We're not sure.
Well,
and sounds like
throw to, because let me get this straight. Avery Davis injured at wide receiver. Tobias Merriweather injured. Joe Wilkins hit the portal, and their star tight end, Michael Meyer, opted out. Their backup tight end, Kevin Ballman's injured. Their backup tight end to that, Eli Reardon, is injured. And, another tight end, Kane Brong, hit the portal. And then on the defensive side of the ball, wait a second. Isaiah Foskey, their best player on defense, opting out. They're also without 4 other players on the defensive side of the ball. This game, and then, dare I say, we get to the South Carolina side of things. Holy shit. I mean, you might have Spencer Rattler, but whew.
What happened, man? They just knocked off Tennessee and Clemson, and everybody's leaving.
Unbelievable. I mean, this is, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 22 players. 22 players. This is the biggest list I've seen. Oh, my God.
I think they released it, and 24 players is the most that's transferring out of any team. So 22 is
so these aren't all transfers. They're also they're opt-outs and injuries. But
their star offensive tackle and an offensive line that hasn't been very good. Their star defensive tackle, Zach Pickens, opting out. Cam Smith opting out. Darius Rush, their other corner, opting out. Those are two corners right there. Their safety, Devontae Reed, opting out. This game sucks ass. This is a horrible game. Austin Stogner hit the portal. Jaheim Bell, their star tight end, transfers to Florida State. I mean, both running backs. Marshawn Lloyd hit the portal. He's good for them. Christian Beal-Smith out. Even their third-string running back out. I mean, this is I don't even know why play the fucking game. I mean,
it has
going to be a couple of these.
It has momentum impacts on next year. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. Actually,
I don't think so. Not really. I think this is a meaningless exhibition.
And then you
add forgotten about.
Yes.
What's that?
Almost instantly.
Yeah.
Marcus Satterfield, the South Carolina OC, left for Nebraska. Shane Beamer said he will not announce a play caller, which probably means it's going to be him. I don't fucking know. Give me South Carolina, I guess. I feel like having Rattler's all the advantage.
Yeah, that and the line is plus 2.5, and usually, do you say you take the plus 2.5
and momentum? Can you imagine?
You lay the 3.5, so I'll take the 2.5. So give me Gamecocks.
How about ending the season with wins at Tennessee, at Clemson, and then Notre Dame? That is fun for recruiting.
Yeah.
It would be. I mean, Notre Dame whooped Clemson by 21. South Carolina beat them by 1.
That's different because Carolina had to play at Clemson. So I almost feel like that's irrelevant because
this game's in Jacksonville. So from a weather standpoint, that definitely favors Spencer Rattler, especially without Notre Dame not having a quarterback in good weather. My initial lean is South Carolina, and even though I do think Notre Dame's a better team, the fact that they're getting 2.5, I'll lean Gamecocks. Not a lot of confidence, though.
Yeah. Next up, we go Ohio taking on Wyoming and Tucson. Barstool Sports Bowl. Shout out to them. We want to do that. We got to get a bowl game going here. Ohio is obviously without the greatest quarterback in America, Curtis O'Rourke. Curtis Rourke, not O'Rourke. And without one of their backs that have been playing solid for them all year. So, O'Shawn Allison. But meanwhile, Wyoming just said, "Hey, running back room, get the fuck out of here." All right, they're on their 5th string running back. But guess what? I don't give a fuck because I believe Ohio's got one of the worst defenses. You're telling me there's no Rourke? Meanwhile, Craig Bowl, his teams find ways. They don't care. They're going to find ways to win this. Give me Wyoming plus 1.5 in Tucson. Nick, what are you doing?
I agree with you. I watched that Bobcat offense in the MAC championship game without Rourke, and it was just pitiful. I think they put up like 260 total yards against Toledo. I don't think C.J. Harris, the backup quarterback, is ready to win a bowl game like this. Give me Wyoming.
Shout out to the chat that says Tucson, a crime-riddled low-class dump, says Nathan Cerna.
What's worse, that or El Paso?
I'm sorry. I've been to both. I'll take Tucson.
Yeah.
I'll take Tucson. Except I do find the Sun Bowl way better. Patty C, what are you doing here?
I mean, look, I think you guys are a little overconfident in they got slapped by Fresno. Granted, that's acceptable, but squeaking by Colorado State, squeaking by Hawaii.
That's their game, though. That's their game. They're not going to win by 30. Their game is conservative. It's like Iowa.
And trust me, I'm not that confident with Wyoming.
It's like they're Iowa of the Mountain West.
Okay, but still, I mean, prior to the MAC championship loss, a 7-game winning streak? Their only loss in what would have been a 9-game winning streak was an overtime loss at Kent State. Then they have one bad game against Toledo in the MAC championship, and you guys are fade Ohio? I don't think so. Give me the Bobcats.
Oh, Max.
Guys, to Weehawk's point here, let's have a little bit of fun with this. The SGPN bowl game. Where and who's
Chicago.
So usually there's tie-in. So outdoors, obviously, and somewhere cold. You want Chicago or
Lambeau?
Lambeau's always fun. I mean, I even think maybe we use Laramie Stadium because we love that end zone. with the Wyoming, even though they wouldn't be playing, will keep those end zones. All right.
Don't they have the mountains all around in the background?
Yeah, pretty cool.
Somewhere
up in Utah would be cool, but not enough alcohol up in Utah, so scratch that off the list.
If they could build a stadium on Alcatraz, I've always said the Raiders should have played at a stadium on Alcatraz.
All right, now you're just getting crazy.
Okay.
If they can play a basketball game on a boat, they can play a football game in a jail. Let's go.
That's funny.
That's because you look like you're in a jail right now, Patty C.
Yeah.
I'm in a bunker right now. I'm making plans.
Don't drop the soap, buddy.
I think somewhere. Sorry, one more thing. I think somewhere in the Midwest would be perfect. Is there an outdoor stadium in Milwaukee to host this?
Yes. Well, no, it used to be. They got rid of it because Miller's Field, because the Packers used to have to play 3 games there until like '93. At that baseball stadium. Which,
is there a large high school in Milwaukee where we could play?
Yeah, I'm sure. Marquette, start your football team, you filthy fucking whores. All right? Bring it back, all right? Orange Bowl, Miami. This game, Tennessee, Clemson. At least they're both wearing orange. Oh, man. I mean, what? Joe Milton's out. Joe Milton's starting. Hendon Hooker's out because of the injury. And then all their receivers, Hyatt opted out. Cedric Tillman opted out. I guess they'll have Brew McCoy, but even Callaway and Holiday hit the portal. They got a couple guys out on defense. And then you have Clemson, who DJU transferred. I actually think that's a positive. I think that the team wanted Klubnik. And shout out to Cade Klubnik's parents who were stuck at the airport who said, fuck it. They're driving from Austin, Texas to Miami. Shout out to them. But then you have the defensive side of the ball for Clemson, it's been the strong suit of the team. Xavier Thomas not playing. Miles Murphy obviously opting out for the NFL. Trenton Simpson, their star linebacker, opting out. And a couple guys out in the secondary. I mean, it's a lot of players out. Having said that, and Tennessee's OC took the South Florida job. So I'm all over Clemson -4.5 here. I actually think I'm going to lock this, actually. I think the team wants to rally behind Klubnik. I think you look at Joe Milton's stats from the Vanderbilt game, even though they won 56-0, which was super fucking impressive. He wasn't setting the world on fire by any means as what he threw for what? Let me look at the stat sheet here. I believe 11 of 21 for 147 and a touchdown. Give me Clemson to take out the Vols without Hooker. Patty C, what are you doing here?
I mean, I don't know how much you really want to fault Milton for not putting up a great stat line in a game that they won by 60 points. So, I mean, maybe there was just an ounce of class out of Heupel there, and they didn't want to launch for 500 yards. But Milton has never proven it before, so that is a big question mark since that is what makes their offense go. Class.
I'm a Josh Heupel guy. Shout out to Josh Heupel. That's my guy. But they did score, 35 in the second half?
Well, when you're just slamming it through the line of scrimmage and they can't stop you, what are you going to do? You're going to down it for the whole second?
Yeah.
Now, they did in the last 2 games of the season play a common opponent. What was it? A 35-point win by South Carolina on Tennessee versus a 1-point win against Clemson. That should tell you to lean Clemson in this one, but I think Tennessee is going to cover. I'm on Tennessee, but I'm not super confident.
Nick, what are you doing here?
I agree with Dundee there. I think this is a Cole Klubnik coming out party. I think he sets the stage. I think he shows up here and shows that he's their guy next year. And he was a
ACC
recruit.
What do you got the ACC going? 6-0 this
My concern is that I've won a lot of ACC teams, but hey, I faded UNC. I faded Pitt. Okay.
There you go. There's 2. All right, let's hop over to Saturday morning because we got to that sucks in this fucking filthy ass stadium in New Orleans. Play this at Yulman Stadium, all right? You sacks of shit. Alabama, Kansas State in New Orleans at that filthy Superdome. Alabama's laying 5.5. You know me. Look, but shout out to Bama players. Yes, a shit ton of players hit the portal. I think it was something like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, They have 11, but they have 13 players out. 11 hit the portal. However, shout out to Bryce Young and Will Anderson for saying, hey, we're going to the NFL, but guess what? We're going to play some fucking football. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, those might be the 2 top picks in the draft. So,
gotta
give them credit.
No opt-outs. That's awesome. Shout out to Bama for that.
Yet official.
Yeah, true. K-State, we know, well, I mean, they didn't really have, they had one guy hit the portal, or 2 guys hit the portal. Crew Jackson, linebacker, and then corner TJ Smith. Both, well, Smith was like a nickel player. The other guy, Jackson, didn't get much burn. I mean, Adrian Martinez was actually practicing too, so they might be able to use 2 quarterbacks. Alabama's in FU mode, right? Give me K-State plus 5.5.
I would have bet $1,000 on Colby taking K-State in this game.
How could I not take the team? I picked them to win the fucking at what, plus 1,200, and they won? Come on. They won the Big 12. And look, I actually think Alabama's had some problems on the defensive side of the ball. Especially, I think their run defense isn't as good as it's been. I think K-State is going to be able to have some success there. Give me the Wildcats plus the points. Everyone and their mom is on Alabama. Look at the money on that thing. K-State gets the dub. Patty?
I mean, yeah, you would think with those guys coming back for Alabama that makes you want to lean Alabama. But look, Bryce Young might not want to get injured. He might be playing a little bit timid there. And then when you look at the end of the season, some of the throttling victories K-State was able to get over good teams. I mean, they beat TCU on the last game of the season. They beat Oklahoma State by 48. Those are great wins. You know, I think we can't sleep on how good of a team this is, and 6.5 points is too many. And you know, Kansas State is more motivated here. They have to be.
I think both have a motivation value, but I think you're right. K-State is probably they're delighted to be here. They want to crack at Bama. Nick, what are you doing?
Yeah, so we know K-State is thrilled to be here. With Bama, the question is, you know, are they pumped to play Kansas State in what's basically an undercard for the playoffs later that day? You know, where are they going to not want to be there, or will Saban use it to really rally the troops? I don't know. I'm taking Bama. If I can lay less than a touchdown with Bama against pretty much anybody, you don't get that chance too often, I'll go Bama.
Fair.
All right, next up, we got the real undercard. Look, 2 times in 1 year.
This game's awful.
2 times in 2022. Last year, we caught this on January 1st. It's a great year to end the season on December 31st. Last year, Kentucky won 20-17. Battled back. Iowa was up a lot of that game. Now we get Iowa, Kentucky in Nashville Music City Bowl. This game is absolutely fucking disgusting when you consider this. Iowa's on their 3rd string quarterback, right? Spencer Petras is injured. Alex Padilla hit the portal. Joey Labas is going to be the guy. He's never attempted a pass. They also have Carson May, a 4th stringer.
Could he be much worse than Petras?
Yeah. Carson Petras has attempted probably 6 passes in his 3 years of starting, so it's not that different.
Well, then they have the situation, one of their best wide receivers, if not their best, Keegan Johnson, transferred to Kansas State. Then you have the opt-out of Kavion Merriweather, a really good safety for them. Also some injuries on the defensive side of the ball. Cooper Dijon Mustard, he's injured. Sam Laporta, their star tight end, injured. Then you have Kentucky. Will Levis, not playing. We saw their backup quarterback against South Carolina in Destin Wade. He's fucking awful. But then you have what? Chris Rodriguez opting out at running back. Cavassier Smoke, who's good. Portal. Oh, Raymond Jefferson, the Sam Houston State running back. Oh, he's injured. So they're on their 4th string running back. Then they have Tavion Robinson, their star wide receiver, out. 3 other receivers hit the portal. Their best corner, their best defensive player, Carrington Valentine, opting out. and two offensive linemen hit the portal as well for depth, and their offensive line's been terrible all year. They fired their OC, so they have a temporary OC for this game. They also fired their running back coach. Fired my boy John Settle. Shout out to the App State legend, former Washington Redskin and Atlanta Falcon. This game is a fucking mess. Give me Iowa minus 1.5. They get a defensive touchdown to win it. Nick?
I think that was my synopsis as well, too. I'm going Iowa just because I'm guessing they care a bit more. I mean, this is basically a program play. Give me Iowa.
Patty C?
4 straight bowl wins by Kentucky. 3 out of the last 4 bowls have been one that Iowa played in by Iowa. Something's got to give here. Both these coaches, I feel like, aren't going to step off the gas pedal in bowl season. But I think
what gas pedal offensively?
That's true. Neither one has a gas pedal off the bicycle pedals that are their offense.
The total in this game is 31. By the way,
wow. What kind of ratings is this going to get? Like, who's watching this?
I'm on the under. I think
yes.
I don't think there's going to be more than I would actually take the under on 21. I'm serious. I think this is like a 10-6 game.
Iowa only needs to win by 3 to cover. 13-10 Iowa. I'll go Hawkeyes. I don't know. Part of me wants to really go Wildcats here.
Well, stop being a pussy and take them.
I'll go Wildcats. Screw it.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
Colby, I would suggest we save the playoffs till the very end, and you just move forward with the bullshit games Monday that nobody cares about. I love these games.
Whoa. The Reliquest Bowl?
Well, in general, the games that happen after the playoffs, like nobody cares anymore.
Well,
at least before should be building up to the playoffs.
Yeah.
The fact they played after the playoffs is like
this is after you busted and she's still sucking.
Awkward.
Well, I think people care about this one. Mississippi State honoring their coach, Mike Leach, playing on a pirate ship in Tampa. Oh, they're going to be motivated. Taking on Illinois, obviously Ryan Walters, the defense coordinator of Illinois, now the Purdue head coach. Mississippi State's laying 1. Lock this thing up. Motivation all. And Chase Brown's not playing? Give me Mississippi State all day. Lock it up.
No way in hell
on. What's that,
exactly.
Nick?
On principle, exactly. There's no way in hell I'm not taking Mississippi State.
Yeah. Triple lock that bad boy.
Boom. Let's go, Hail State. Rest in peace, the great coach, Mike Leach. All right. We also have Tulane taking on USC. Now, this would be cool if you played this at the, where they played the Cotton Bowl. No, they're playing this at Jerry's World. You filthy, fucking nasty, disgusting whores. Play this at where they play the actual Cotton Bowl. Why play this at this terrible stadium? Tulane, USC's laying 1.5. I'll take USC. I'm laying 1.5. Caleb Williams says he's playing. I'll take USC. Nick?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, USC has a lot of injuries that are kind of going on there, but I don't know. I think they're just the better team here. Maybe they want some revenge from that Pac-12 championship loss. Give me USC.
Patty?
I mean, in terms of pass defense, I want to find this real quick. I know Tulane was really high nationally, number 18. So that is USC's strength. I still think that's not enough points. I think, I think USC will cover that.
Yeah, we got another shit fest. We got another shit fest going on here. The Citrus Bowl. Where the hell is this game? Orlando, I feel like. Yeah,
I think so. Yep.
LSU will end their season in Orlando and start their season in Orlando at the Citrus Bowl next year. LSU's laying 14.5 points against Purdue. Now, obviously Jeff Brom is not there to coach Purdue, but his brother, Brian Brom, sticking it out with the Boilermakers. Boiler up. But the only problem is, if you're a Purdue fan, well, their whole team isn't playing. And when I say whole team, I mean, the likes Aiden O'Connell opt out. Why are you going to opt out when you're going to be a 7th-round draft pick? Kobe Lewis hit the portal at running back. Running back King DeRue injured. Wide receiver Charlie Jones opt out. Elijah Cannon, the Auburn transfer, out for the year. Wide receiver Brock Thompson out. Payne Durham, their star tight end, opt out. They also have an opt out. Their best corner Corey Trice, and safety Chris Jefferson just says personal reasons. Personal reasons. Girlfriend's texting me that. She's coming over. We're going to order pizza. We're going to watch a movie. Sorry. Can't
Netflix and chill.
Yeah, Netflix and chill over this shit fest out in Orlando. Meanwhile, you have LSU, which unbelievable. Dude, Nick, did you see this?
I'm looking at it now.
Let me count this. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 23 players. LSU without 23 players, and one of them probably going to be Jaden Daniels, who's been injured. He was in a walking boot the final game of the season. They said there's still a chance he could play. Garrett Nussmeier, the freshman, I think son of Doug Nussmeier, he might start. I got no fucking idea. You look at what? So John Beck transferred. Kyron Lacey, their receiver, he's out. Dre Jenkins is out. I mean, this is really hard to tell.
Yeah, for me, this was like I went back to bowl game betting 101. When in doubt, take the points, especially when it's 2 touchdowns. So, give me the points, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, this is a stupid game. Give me the points, Patty C.
Yeah, this one's a tough one. Now, LSU did squeak by a bunch of teams at the end of the season and lost badly in a couple games. Then again, so did Purdue in the Big Ten Championship. They're very evenly matched. It's too many points. You got to roll Purdue here.
All right, then we got the Rose Bowl, final game before the CFP. Penn State take it on Utah. Utah's never won a Rose Bowl. That's all I need. No more synopsis. I mean, Penn State's pretty good. You got Joey Porter Jr. opted out, which is huge. Their star tackle is out. Parker Washington opted out.
It's actually a pretty good game.
Yeah. Then you have Utah. Dalton Kincaid at tight end opted out. Same with Tavion Thomas at running back. And their star cornerback, Clark Phillips III, opted out. I'm on Utah. They almost won it last year. I think they won it. I'm laying the 2.5 with the Utes. This is a good game, I guess. Nick?
Yeah, I think they ride that momentum, that huge second half, beating USC, crushing USC in that second half. And I think they're fired up right now. And even if it's a month later, I think they bring that momentum to them, or with them to Pasadena. So give me the Utes.
Patty?
That's right. They banged on that door last year. I think they knock it in this year. Cam Rising status, though. I mean, he's coming back next year, right? Rising? Or do
I think he's leaving it up in the air, but he's from LA too, so that's another angle. He's at home.
Yeah, you would figure he'd want to get that done before he goes. Yeah, you got to ride Utah here.
All right. Then we have the CFP, the Invitational, as they call it.
Finally, some games that matter.
Yeah. 1:00 this Saturday, TCU, Michigan in the Fiesta Bowl. This one's actually going to be outdoors. It's actually worthy of viewing. TCU is catching 8 against Michigan. I mean, we've heard it all year. We've heard the disrespect all fucking year. They have not respected the Big 12. Max Duggan says he's going pro, which I'm still a little dumbfounded on that. Why not come back and make $1 million instead of playing for the Skyhawks in Berlin next year? I will take the 8 points all day. I mean, yes, Michigan. What a classic move with Maisie Smith, by the way. Classic power program move. I should probably take. Didn't he get caught with a gun? And they pushed off the hearing until after the Ohio State and until January. Classic move. Classic fucking move. which means you probably should take Michigan. Crime pays in sports. But Eric All hit the portal. Obviously, Blake Corum's out. McNamara hit the portal. Alan Bowman hit the portal. So I'll tell you this. If they have a quarterback situation, they will go from first string to fourth string if something does happen. I guess, I don't know. I just feel like too many points. TCU's been disrespected. I think they'll show up in this game. I'm all over the Horned Frogs +8. Sprinkle a little bit on the money line.
I don't want to come out here and defend Michigan and Maisie Smith or whatever his name is, but that sentencing is scheduled for the 29th. But apparently they're very confident that these charges will be dropped.
Get another continuance.
Maybe so. I don't know. But for me, I'm on Michigan here because I look at 3 games. I look at the Penn State game where they won 41-17 and had over 400 yards rushing. I look at the Ohio State game where they outscored the Buckeyes 28-3 in the second half, and the Big Ten championship game where they outscored Purdue by 20 in the second half. This team remembers the loss to Georgia in the playoffs last year, and they have come back to avenge that. And, I mean, look at rushing. Michigan, number 5 rushing offense in America, number 3 rushing defense. TCU rush defense, number 67. I think that Michigan game, Donovan Edwards, I don't care if Blake Corum's not playing. I think Michigan's going to do what they want on both lines of scrimmage. And I think last year, Michigan making the playoffs, they were the team that was just kind of happy to be there first time. I think you could argue that's TCU this year, and Michigan is really their second time. Most of that team back, or at least a lot of it, they're not just happy to be there. They want to win this game and get to the championship.
Well, let me push back a little bit, buddy.
Push back, indeed.
Joe Golding is a name that he'll probably be a head coach in the next year or two. Defensive coordinator, came over from Tulsa, where they played for the AAC championship just 2 years ago. He is next level defensive coordinator. You're giving him a month to prep. You remember what happened when Texas was coming in there? Oh, TCU's run defense is terrible. Well, TCU had that bye week coming into it, and boom, I'm looking at the stat line, right? This was in Austin. Held Texas to 28 yards rushing.
And they're still just number 67 in the country?
Yeah, but this is a one-game thing. This is a month of prep. Joe Golding is an elite defensive coordinator. He's going to hit the strengths of Michigan, and he's going to make them have to pass the ball to beat them. TCU covers this and might just win this thing outright. Sprinkle that money line. Patty C, what are you doing?
The Corum injury, I think, it does factor here. Ohio State had gotten a little bit soft defensively for a while. I think that TCU's not going to have that problem. I don't think that TCU is necessarily going to bang with Michigan. I think they're more, set up to stop a passing, especially being in the Big 12. But I think they have athletes, and I think they have the offense to. I do think Michigan might push them around in the second half. But I think they'll keep it closer to the touchdown. They've been playing close games all year. They've been winning them. I think they probably lose close here.
All right. Now we move over to the second game. Playing this one at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where Georgia plays every other game that's not a home game. Bulldogs, defending national invitational champions, taking on Ohio State. Now, Ohio State, we know what? Travion Henderson not playing. Smith and Jigba not playing. I even think a couple other running backs have injuries for them. Evan Pryor. Meanwhile, Georgia, Ladd McConkey, I think is something they're watching. Eric Gilbert hit the portal for the 75th time at tight end. They got a couple dinged up offensive linemen. Nolan Smith, their defensive end, who's a stud, is out. Same with safety Dan Jackson. However, I wanted this matchup last year, not necessarily because I just thought Ohio State had the perfect offense to present problems to Georgia. I believe that. Last year, I was like, man, they're lucky they played Michigan because I think Ohio State would have beat them. Ohio State, Ryan Day was basically, everyone's calling for him to be fired. You want to talk about the all-time motivational edge right here to redeem yourself and beat the defending national champions? It's right here. I'm all over Ohio State. And I think if they can look back at that SEC championship game a year ago, not the LSU one, the one against Bama, And Bama probably would have beat Georgia the second time had their receivers not got injured. Ohio State's got guys. I don't care that Smith and Jigba's not playing. They got wide receivers that can play. And they can test, I think, the weakness of Georgia's defense. I got Ohio State +7, and I'm riding that money line +210. Let's go. Patty C, what are you doing here?
Georgia, the number 1 rush defense in the country. Obviously, James Madison, number 2. Michigan, number 3. Just had to crowbar that in there. I think Georgia's obviously, especially Ohio State, and not having Henderson, they're going to shut down the run game. It's going to be all on Stroud to get it done. Having Smith and Jigba would have been nice, but they don't. I think Georgia slaps them. I think Georgia gets ahead and leans on it and pulls way. Kind of blows them out by the end of it.
Wow. Nick?
Yeah, I think Michigan is kind of a similar team to Georgia. I think the physicality is similar, and I'm not sure if the Buckeyes are tough enough to go toe-to-toe with the Bulldogs because they couldn't hang at home with Michigan. I think it's a fair question to ask, how good is Ohio State? They had a nice win at Penn State. Other than that, look at the schedule. There's a couple of lopsided wins over Wisconsin and Iowa, both at home. Usually that's impressive. Not really this year. They beat Notre Dame again at home, 21-10 in the season opener. If anything, I thought they didn't even look that good in that game. And then there's that home loss to Michigan, which I mentioned. So, say what you want about Stetson Bennett, but the guy shows up in big games. And I think the Georgia running game will be the difference. And also big game Brock Bowers, my guy, the tight end. I'm on Georgia. I'm going chalky as hell, going both favorites. Colby, I think your one weakness, especially this round of the playoffs, is you always root for the underdog. I think sometimes your heart gets in the way of your head. Maybe Patty C's right to go one favored, one dog, but I'm going chalky as hell, going both favorites here because I just think Michigan and Georgia are destined to meet in the national championship. And if I could get ahead of myself, I think Michigan wins.
Oof.
Well, buddy, let me tell you something. It's about matchups. Like I said, I think Ohio State would have beat Georgia a year ago had they played. I think Georgia against
they were a different team last year.
And I still believe this. The key to beating Stetson Bennett is making him come from behind, making him pass when you know they have to pass. Ohio State has to get an early lead. I think they got the guys to do it. Like I said, Smith and Jigba, obviously he's a beast, but all their receivers are beast. Look at them. They're all beast. I don't think it's that big of a drop-off. Marvin Harrison Jr. still playing. Buckeyes win. And look, you didn't talk enough about that. The disrespect. Ryan Day, people were calling for him to be fired. He was embarrassed.
You're one of them.
Look, if you are back in Ohio State,
fired. I just think he's not. I just think he's a little
not elite.
Yeah.
If you're back in Ohio State, you could argue a couple points that this Georgia team is not last year's Georgia team. Against the pass, they're only number 49th in the country. Georgia's only number 77th in team sacks, and they're number 74 in turnover margin. So I do think this is not quite the same Georgia team as last year, but I just don't think Ohio State has proved much to me over the course of the season.
Another thing is Georgia got Tennessee's offense, and maybe that's proof that they're going to destroy Ohio State. But Tennessee's way more gimmicky to me than Ohio State. I think Ohio State might be able to really, be able to sling the rock on them. So we'll see. Folks, subscribe to the College Football Experience. We will be back. We'll be back next week talking Invitational Championship, FCS National Championship, and some more coaching stuff. I'm sure transfer portal shit's crazy. Subscribe to the College Football Experience. Remember, every single night I got to do a show in like an hour. The College Basketball Experience is coming every single night. We got hoops every single night until Selection Sunday in March. So boom,
beautiful
over there. Subscribe to the College Basketball Experience. Also, the College Baseball Experience goes full swing in 2 months. There's going to be some previews dropping from Noah Beanick, and maybe even myself getting in there, talking a little college baseball. Subscribe to all three of them. We come together as one on YouTube, youtube.com/The College Experience. You can watch it. Also, check out, we're on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. NC Nick's on Twitter at NC_NICK. Patty C's on Twitter at PattyC831. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. Give us all a follow. Hop on over to iTunes. Give us a 5-star review. Look, the well's gone a little dry. It's bowl season. I feel like, we're getting all great reviews on the basketball program. Hop on over to the football one. It just takes a minute out of your day. It's the giving season, they say. Hop on over there. Come on. Also, get the SGPN app. It's free to download in the App Store and Google Play Store. Come talk bowl games and invitational madness with us in the Discord, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. All right. Until next week. Can't wait to watch some football. East Carolina. Don't forget. We locked it up. Pirates, get it done. This is the college football experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Thank you. Well, this is a great way to get started. And I haven't even blocked all my gigs yet. It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family.
Sometimes people that are standing on third base think they hit a triple. If we didn't.
Well, I know that. They're breaking the head cold, but they're counting down 7, 6, 5.
Get my limousine! Ride on 85! Get my Learjet! Woo! And take off to New Orleans! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!
Our football team, ranked in the top 10 for the last 8 years, has got a linebacker, a tailback, an offensive tackle, 2 safeties, and a quarterback, all recruited by friends of the program.
Good round, you're celebrating with your appetite. Bad round, you're using your appetite to forget about the round. I'll tell you something about appetite. It's a real fucking great thing to have.
It's easy to see a tide turn